tired of good, Kobu? Yeah, mama, we got a real crazy one today, a real long video. That's what she said. Anyway, before we get into it, let's go ahead. This will be the video. Be a man, modernist and traditionalist debate masculinity. Cool, we'll come back to that. But since you're here first, why don't we start off with the requisite basketball? Somebody, please buy me some. Lord have mercy, Jesus. How many subs is that? They take half. I need 8 subs. And then I think we'll get it, y'all. If I get 8 subs, I promise.
Burberry Hero. A new fragrance for men.
Promise I will pay.
He's got Malone on the right. Stockton goes to Malone. Crowd there. The mailman delivered.
Dunks, but they get increasingly more angry at the rim, by the way. Just for, in case you didn't see the title.
He's going to try and go to work with the...
I sure will. Hope we got time. We got 2 hours to go through a 40-minute video.
Boom, and slammed it home.
Slams it down.
I'll probably scare people.
James driving and smashing it.
Hold on. My other headphones are on for some reason, and I need to listen to them to turn them off. All right, they're off now. I'm about to get hot as hell, bro.
He may have just broke the rim.
Gerald Green, look at the explosion. That's insane.
What the fuck was that score?
Gerald Green.
What is going on? Phoenix. Damn.
Look at the explosion.
See that
That's
shit?
insane.
Yes, I have. Yeah. All right, hold on. I'm gonna put on a different jacket. I'll show y'all I just take my jacket off and show y'all my shirt, but it's got all this fucking bleach stains. So give me 1 second, y'all. Gotta have a costume change. Shit. Woo, that's hot. All right. Hey. I got my cat. One of them, at least. Here you go, Hazel. Art is in there fucking shit up, of course. Have you met Hazel Kovu? Here she is. She's a cat, as you can see. Look at the camera. Almost there. Almost there. Do you hear her purr? She has a loud-ass purr. We could do this for the next 2 hours. Okay, anyway. You think you met them both? That's exciting. Glad to hear it.
He's known for that, Fred. He can jump out the gym.
Get it done. And on the spin and the reverse.
That's so disrespectful. I love that.
I know you didn't like it.
Personal.
See, I just feel like if I don't like this, I'm gonna break your hand.
Scalabrine tipped it over to Jefferson.
Oh, shit.
Big finish on the windmill.
And then high stepping down
Man, I hurt my ankle one
Richard
time
Jefferson with a
basketball
jackhammer.
James Johnson explodes. Oh, man.
Never played that one again.
Absolutely monstrous
my
jam. Yeah.
Now, mind you, I was already 22 at the time, and it was just a PE class for an elective my senior year. But that's not important.
Wow.
What's important is I could have went pro.
Blue spins cover.
That's crazy.
LaMelo Ball with his hair on fire.
What's that goofy shit?
A windmill.
I think they are.
Look at that.
God
Take care
damn.
of that.
Jesus. Bro, that Blake Griffin era of the Pistons? Or was it the Clippers? I think it was the Clippers. Yeah, the Clippers. Man, he had...
Oh, my goodness.
That looked like it hurt.
Hammer time.
I mean, look where he took
Ah,
off.
that was during the Wade era.
Look at the elevation.
Westbrook.
Excuse me.
Somebody left the door open.
I missed that one.
Oh, my.
Green icing. Green driving. Green.
Dunking. The dumpster nut. He's back. Look out.
Damn. I feel like this can just be like a Zion Williamson.
Miles in the moving pin. That was a wall.
Tutored and mentored. Oh, Miles Turner.
Him and
bringing
LeBron.
that
Him,
smoke.
LeBron, Vince Carter,
If they're playing the Kings or if they're playing the Suns.
Blake Griffin. Y'all need a lot of people, bro. You just want to have a dunk off.
Goodness.
Steps around, pass to the corner to Barnes.
Angry
Takes
ass
it to the
dunk
rack.
off.
Goes high and hard and threw it down. Oh, my goodness. Harrison Barnes, a little
Bro, I remember
elevation
Harrison
sensation.
Barnes.
And that
He
is
had a
what
little
I
bit of a
am
bag,
talking about.
Stoudemire, my goodness, a Statue of Liberty dunk.
Put Carmelo on there, too, I guess.
Wow.
That was impressive.
Middleton
Oh,
still.
Mark Stoudemire. Boink!
My. Wow.
Love
I'm
the
not sure it gets more powerful than that.
I like the way he's shaped. Is that weird? Ooh, what a steal.
James
Oh!
just intercepted that pass.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Intended
Nice
for
play.
deep in the hole and out.
You see the rebound?
Rebound by Paul and a great give
Off
to
the rebound,
Jordan.
Paul Gasol.
And he knows how to finish in there.
32 to 17.
I thought it was a tie.
Westbrook racing.
That man Westbrook is different, bro. Thunder Westbrook? Thunder Westbrook? That's the best we've ever seen.
Uses that big pick by
Most athletic point guard.
A tomahawk
prime
slam by James Harden.
The holidays for Christmas. What a
Ooh, where you going? Oh, catch.
Dropping the hammer. Right
Back.
over Embiid. Numbers the other way. Reeves up. Jack hammers it in. Lakers are rolling.
Green on the crazy. That boy threw that
Letting
behind
out
his
some
own neck.
frustration. Love this from Jalen Green. And oh my God.
Inbounds Sprewell.
Damn! Holy shit!
Inbounds Sprewell.
God, no!
Go for 39.
Jesus!
Warriors up 8, and that will end the game.
Bro was mad about it. Uh-oh. Yes, sir! Mr. Levine. Favorite player for him.
How can I send a message to the Suns?
Oh, the emphatic slam.
Damn.
Sassy stuff. Powell talking trash.
Bro, you can do this shit with Shaq alone. That big motherfucker Shaq.
The offensive rebound.
Ooh, Embiid. Oh, hold on, he might get hurt.
Some space on the wall, kids. A new poster is coming soon.
He's on this. Wow.
Nah, he must have been cooking that game.
He's on this.
God damn. Nah, that's
Sharp in
crazy.
the corner.
Let's go. Let's go.
Ball
Let's
taken.
go.
Oh, my goodness.
Shannon Sharp cocks it back and hammers it down. Gravity knows no bounds for Shannon.
I look like Jordan. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness.
Derrick Rose with the emphatic stuff.
And I have seen that highlight so many times. I will say this, and I stand by this. And I'm okay being wrong. I'm okay having people having different opinions. You know what I'm saying? You can prove my theory false as much as you want to. That's okay. The hill I choose to die on, is a healthy D Rose is the biggest what if. What if? Is the biggest what if in the NBA. At the very least, the modern NBA, right? Not like if LeBron had stayed in Cleveland or some shit like that, or if Kawhi never went to Toronto. No, none of that. Not that injury. No. Derrick Rose, a healthy Derrick Rose, a Derrick Rose who never tears his ACL, that is a different league. All right? That is a different association. I cannot overstate how much that changes. I agree. See, the D Rose or Sabonis' dad. Interesting. Tell me more about Sabonis' dad.
They find Wilkins. Look out.
Damn, I'm hurt.
And the foul will be
Say,
on
get out, white boy.
Barry coming
That's
over to
crazy,
help
man.
out.
Dynamite driving
dunk.
Y'all don't
for
understand
Russell
Westbrook, bro. That's his 3rd time on this list.
Mercy.
3-on-1 for the
That's his
Thunder.
4th time on this list. Westbrook is just different, bro.
Cocking the hammer and pulling the
God, if I could have gone to an OKC game with his ass playing. Oh, not Durant.
Put that thunderous put down.
James Harden, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and OKC. That was a moment, bro. That was a beautiful moment in sports history. My goodness. Man, I remember I ain't even gonna go.
Nelson escaping Holiday. The long for
The White? Yes, sir.
Man.
But the White
That
long
was
as shit.
one angry
That boy got a
slam.
fucking 28-foot wingspan. Hold on one second. Luna calling me. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ya. Oh, Luna just got off work. She might be joining. She has a lot of opinions on the video we're supposed to watch today. Most of them are probably inappropriate. Why is there all this? Hold on. I feel like that all that screaming kind of, hold on, caught me off guard. What's happening?
That was one angry slam.
Bridges! Oh my God! What? A thunderbolt from Bridges!
Goes by drops the sledgehammer! I've got to see this again.
So, I go back and forth.
Oh!
Yeah, John Moran is crazy.
A jawbreaker!
That's a good one. A jawbreaker? That's a good one.
It is Ja Morant
That's clever.
on the full extension.
Bro, I didn't even see what's happening, bro. Ain't but 3 pictures on the goddamn screen. How the hell people watching this?
Swift hammers it. A tomahawk from Stromile Swift.
Turn the corner inside.
Nope. Wait, okay.
He
That's a
made
ball.
Yusuf
Thought it
Nurkic
was the Bulls. I was.
15-14.
I don't like
Kevlar
watching people
bench is
go
going
on.
nuts.
Here comes Chris Paul. It breaks my goddamn heart.
Touchdown! Oh, what a monster jam by DeAndre Jordan. That's as good as anybody.
Bro, so no, not DeAndre Jordan. It was Andre Drummond. I was playing 2K13, and I had like this super team that I had built, bro. It was Blake Griffin at power forward, Andre Drummond at center. I was the point guard. I couldn't remember who else. No, I had Chris Paul. I was the shooting guard. Chris Paul was the point guard. Bro, we was cooking the fuck out of them, bro. 2K13, bro. I was 2 seasons deep. So it was 2015 technically in the season, right? With all those stats. Remember that, bro? Holy shit. I was cooking the fuck out the league, bro. Cooking the fuck out of them. I finally learned how to play. I pressed the right button. I never looked back, bro. I went from averaging about 0.2 points per game. No rebounds, no steals, no assists. And now I was looking at fucking 15 assists a game, 30 points a game. Still only got 2 rebounds because I ain't nowhere under the rim, goddamn. But shit, bro, we was doing it, bro.
Anywhere.
That's when I fell in love with Andre Drummond.
Did I try and jump for
And,
that one? Are you kidding
Chris
me?
Paul, too, actually. Chris Paul. Goddamn! And Blake Griffin. Those 3, bro. I mean, I passed the ball to them in motion. The ball might as well be in the goal. I'm telling you, bro. Blake Griffin dunk everything.
The second time.
Then drumming in the post.
Nobody within 5 feet of him. Here he goes.
That's so inconvenient, bro. You break the rim, now what? Now I'm covered in glass. Now we got to start the game or something. Shit.
Oh, he did it again.
Like,
He's
don't do
broken
that.
again.
That's awesome, but don't do that.
He's broken another backboard.
Electric
And there's
tee
the
for sure.
hoop down on the floor. He just ripped the basket from
I
its
can't remember who
mooring.
was small
Just
forward.
tore it loose.
I cannot remember who was small for. Also, I'm sorry. You read your message. Jokic before Jokic. Lithuania. Hornets announced. Yeah, I agree. That's funny. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. A little bit of history for me. What is this 40-second video I added up? Pork chop
We
sandwich.
handcraft every Stearns & Foster using the finest
Almost
materials
bit
like
through the
indulgent
microphone.
memory
Holy
foam and
shit.
ultra.
You're not cooking. Yeah, dude.
Pork chop sandwiches. Oh shit! Get the fuck out of here!
What the fuck is this?
No, get the fuck out of here, you stupid idiot! Fuck, we're all dead! Get the fuck out!
What the fuck is this?
God, did that smell good?
Detective, did you know going and you tell me do things I done running.
G.I. Joe!
What the hell was that? Bro, like, go ahead and save that one for later. Yes, I did get your link. Got this up over here. He said it was the best shooter in the world, so they proved it. Actually, I saw this. Well, excuse me, I haven't watched this video, but when I got on YouTube, I saw this. Yes, let's go ahead and watch it right now. Actually, waiting for Loon to get here.
You know, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. In fact, far from it. Most days, I'd say I probably fall somewhere between competent and incoherent. But despite my painfully average intelligence, I am still smart enough to know at least one thing is for certain. I am not better at basketball than an NBA player. Any of them. Literally, nothing I can do with a basketball in my hands is up to par with a single player in the NBA. But this isn't breaking news. By now, we all know this.
I feel like I could play some good defense.
Except this guy. This is Anthony Miracola, and he claims to be the best shooter in the entire world.
All right, he looks like Adam Sandler. He must be good as shit. Also, I saw this one meme. It was like when you hooping with non-hoopers or something like that, and they just be locking the fuck out of you. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about defense be crazy. And I feel that. Everybody in the comments was like, yeah, bro, when you can't shoot, when you can't rebound, when you can't do nothing else, bro, you got all the energy saved for defense, bro. That's the only thing you can do. Defense is all about effort. It's all about being in the right place at the right time and just going. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it doesn't matter how hard you try to shoot. If you're not good at shooting, if you don't practice shooting, you'll never make a good shot. But defense is like the equation for quality defense puts a focus on effort, focus on energy, focus on hustle. Hello, Ashley. So it's like, in order to be good at like these other things, it requires a certain level of skill, a certain level of practice. And that's, of course, the same thing for defense. But defense, I think, is the thing in basketball that you can just jump into and be good at with nothing but effort. You can't be the best at it. Of course, it takes a lot of skill, a lot of high IQ plays. Of course, you can understand that. But, like, I don't know. Defense is something you can just jump in there, bro, and just hustle it out.
World. And it's a self-proclaimed title that he has earned by breaking several basketball shooting world records. Anthony's good, really good. But to find out the harrowing truth that he is not better than an NBA player, he got invited onto national television to have a shootout against an NBA
Bro, Charles Barkley's so goddamn funny for no reason. Shaq the funniest man alive. That's my opinion.
player. The outcome of this shootout? Worse than you could imagine.
Oh, I might have to take this off.
I know his ass not about to get up there.
You are the greatest pure shooter of all time, just straight shooting.
Yes.
Ever. Yes?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Kovu, what you got us into? What you got us into, Kovu?
Today's video is sponsored by DraftKings.
Y'all know I love this
The weather
man.
might
He
be
is
cooling
such a good
down, but the
storyteller.
action on
I don't gamble. Sorry.
Okay, Devin Booker, the young cat from Phoenix.
In 2018, Devin Booker set a three-point contest record with a score of 28 in the final round of the contest, taking home the trophy with his name forever etched into NBA history. A performance where he hit 80% of his shots, only missing 5 out of 25. Under this format, where the highest score possible is 34, Booker put on a three-point clinic that even shooters like Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson couldn't keep up with. And 4 years later, he still holds this incredible three-point shooting record.
Holy shit. First off, look at Klay and Steph just in there. That's crazy. Who the fuck is Joe Harris? I don't know that guy. Dude, I think I know him, actually. Never mind, doesn't matter.
Until the greatest shooter alive, Anthony Maricola, broke it in 2022.
Yeah, fuck that guy. What? I will answer that question, Ashley, if you can explain those 2 additional question marks. I think they insinuate something more than one question mark would insinuate by itself.
With a score of 31.
Especially with the word more.
Last year's three-point open high-stakes contest in Pennsylvania, Anthony put on one of the most absurd displays of shooting you'll ever see, winning the contest and taking home a $100,000 cash prize. Look at this. The man doesn't miss. I mean, Anthony did have an extra 10 seconds compared to the NBA contestants.
Lame.
And he was shooting from the college three-point line, which is 2 feet closer.
Irrelevant.
And he had 9 warm-up shots before beginning this record-breaking round.
Oh,
and, well, of course, this performance didn't take place in an NBA three-point contest. But a record is a record.
Irrelevant.
And as the world's best shooter, Anthony's got a lot of them. Over the last
Why are you yelling, Ashley?
decade, Anthony has been slowly taking down nearly every basketball shooting record available,
look like
and
Adam
possibly
Sandler?
some that are not.
He's
Most
like somewhere between Adam Sandler and Caitlin Clark. Holy shit, it all makes
pointers
sense.
made in a minute, 31.
Money makes the world go round and round and round
Jesus
and round. What if we
I've
could
used
make
the
the
Kraken
world
app
go
before.
forward?
It's fine.
What if we could do for
I mean, I haven't used it in a long
finance
time,
what
so I
the internet
can't.
did for information?
I can't really say anything about it. It's been years since I used it, but it was
So the 8 Sleep is a pod cover that fits on a mattress
It wasn't
like
necessarily
a fitted
better
sheet,
than any
but
other
it's temperature
crypto
controlled.
exchange person.
So
Most three-pointers made in 3 minutes, 93. Most free throws made in 1 minute, 67.
Whoa, hold on, wait. 93? 201? Fuck this guy.
That's more than a free throw
Fuck
made
this
per
guy.
second.
What the
I
hell?
mean, at a rate like that, you must have some crazy contraption helping you get the balls back or something. Most free throws made in 3 minutes, 201, beating the old record by a very modest 101. And he doesn't plan on stopping until every shooting record is his. His most recent world record on the books, most free throws made while standing on one leg. But with all of this fame and glory as the world's greatest shooter comes a lot of challengers. People who doubt your claims, want to take your spot as the top dog, refute your records and say, well, I mean, how many people have even attempted shooting free throws on one leg?
Nah, so first and foremost, what you're not going to do not let this dude do any halftime competitions. He is strictly disqualified. We saw that one about the Chicago and the goddamn full court shot and $1 million. He can't get on that. Fuck that guy.
But that's neither here nor there.
Hell
This hasn't stopped Anthony from taking down the competition and taking down records along the way. Until he showed up. Former NBA player and now NBA analyst, Kenny Smith. See, back in the 90s, Kenny Smith was one of the NBA's premier sharpshooters. And as one of the best among the best, there is a massive void between him and some regular Joe when it comes to shooting a basketball. And throughout the years, Kenny has challenged other former NBA players to a three-point shootout to test their skills and win bragging rights on live national television. No,
I would love to see him versus Steve Kerr.
Warm-ups, no do-overs. He went toe-to-toe with, at the time, the greatest shooter of all.
Reggie Miller? No. If not Reggie Miller, it's probably Ray Allen.
Time. Reggie Miller.
What'd I tell y'all? Reggie Miller
was one shot away from beating him. He challenged former NBA sharpshooter Danny Ainge to a three-point shootout and walked him like a dog while clearing the last rack and staring him down as the last ball went through the net. He challenged former flamethrower Michael Redd at the ripe age of 49 and beat him as well. Kenny even went as far as challenging Jason Terry, one of the greatest long-range shooters ever.
Let me see. Who's the real Jet? Okay, he's got twice as many titles. He's got almost twice as many points. That's crazy. Life experience. Bro, just the age? Fuck all that. That don't matter. Always runs through the tape. All right, those last two are bullshit. That's funny.
To a 3-point shootout for the rights to the nickname, the Jet. Does anyone want to take a wild guess
Kenny
at who
the
won?
Jet Smith.
You gotta come back over here.
Stupid.
Come back over here.
Boink.
You gotta come back over here.
That shit clean. Oh my goodness.
You gotta come back over here. I'm the Jet in here. What's my name? What's my name? What's my name? What's my name?
Brick.
What's my name, Chuck? Another one, Hal. Chuck, what's my name? Kenny the Jet Smith. What's my name? What's my
That's
name?
wild.
What's my name?
Damn.
What's my name?
This is not a man you want to mess with. Because no matter how many years go by, no matter how knocked those knees get, once
Jesus
an NBA
Christ.
player, always an NBA
No
player.
matter how knocked those knees get, that's out of line. I gotta see it again.
This is not a man you want to mess with.
Crazy.
Because no matter how many years go by, no matter how knocked those knees get,
That's so fucked up.
once an NBA player, always an NBA player. And Anthony Miracola had to learn this the hard way.
I should clip her nails here. The king of retired basketball players, Kenny the Jet Smith.
It's been a few
facts.
years since Anthony Miracola
Big
began his
facts.
record-breaking mission. He's already a world record holder and the greatest shooter on the planet. So the crew over at NBA on TNT with Shaq, Charles, Ernie, and Kenny invite him onto the show to do a segment talking about his success. The crew is excited to have him on and hear his story. But lurking 5 feet to his left is Kenny Smith,
Well, look
who
at
has
Kenny.
identified his next victim. As a fun little gimmick, the crew has 10-year-old phenom Landon Spicer go toe-to-toe with Shaquille O'Neal in a free throw competition. The kid is a machine.
Bro, he might actually beat him. He will probably beat Shaq. Bro, he could probably beat prime Shaq in a free throw competition. 10 years old, 4 feet tall. Now this motherfucker yeah, he got it. 50,000 on the kid right there. That's my bet.
He
I
knocks
don't
down
gamble.
his shots. And to absolutely no one's surprise, Shaq does not.
Ass.
The kid is eating
He's
it up.
ass.
He loves it.
Amazingly enough, you've beaten Shaq in a free throw contest.
Completely unexpected.
But the real show is about to begin.
Yeah,
Ernie
Chuck might
proposes a shootout between the greatest shooter in the world versus 54-year-old Kenny the Real Jet Smith. Kenny couldn't say yes fast enough. He just watched this man set a world record and sink 31 three-pointers in a minute, and he's chomping at the bit to face him. Right from the jump, Anthony is getting put through the ringer, and he hasn't even taken a single shot. They ask him where he'd like to shoot from. He says the free throw line. They say they're not doing that.
Man, they pussy. They scared is what they is.
Want to shoot right here? Threes. Threes from out here. NBA threes.
Oh, it's hard to argue though, man.
NBA three-point line it is. Anthony.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Oh, what's up, Ollie? I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I probably, if you gave me 10 tries to make a three-pointer from the NBA three-point line, I would probably miss 7 of them. And I'm talking about air ball. Especially if it's from the corner, fuck it. Ball not touching shit. Ollie, happy birthday to you.
He's already feeling.
Hold on, let me harass your ass real quick.
Boy, if you don't get.
I would pay so much money to understand the motivations of Ashley. Is it really his birthday? Let me check Snapchat. Oh, it is. It really is his birthday. And before Ashley's gonna be like, "What? You didn't believe me? Hell no, I don't believe your ass." Happy birthday at Ollie. Now I gotta put a little GIF and GIF, or what do y'all put in there? Y'all say GIF or GIF? Let me see. Dance. That's what I'm gonna search for. Dance. He's naked. There we go. All right.
The pressure. The studio's
Birthday,
court
Ollie.
has a low roof line. It's gonna mess up his shot.
Because I do not.
He makes a small remark about this, but the crew ain't going for it.
Wait, what?
It's gonna mess. It is. Anthony's already feeling the pressure. The studio's court has a low roof line. It's gonna mess up his shot. He makes a small remark about this, but the crew ain't going for it.
It's tough because of the art,
First
man.
one on. Hey, listen, stop making excuses. Yeah, we don't want to hear
I
that.
was shooting around, I almost hit the ceiling a few
Wait,
times.
he's shooting the same
Or Duclaw was hard to get.
Like a pack of hyenas, the crew is circling. Barkley's yelling at the poor guy. Shaq is right behind him, repeating every.
Why he got his balls like that? Wait a minute. Anyway, the point I was going to make is I would never want to be yelled at by Charles Barkley. That man is terrifyingly funny.
Boy, if you don't get...
Shut up, Ollie.
Everything Charles is saying. A 7-foot echoing monolith, just menacingly standing there. And it's at this moment, Anthony begins to realize what he's gotten himself into. But being the gracious host that he is, Kenny allows Anthony to go first.
Yeah, first of three.
You going?
No, it's your welcome.
Just shoot?
Because if I make the first one, I won't put too much pressure on.
Okay.
All right, there you go. All right, there it is, see?
That's off by
Ooh!
It's a miss.
Oh, shit.
There you go. All right, there it is, see?
Boy! Missed by... Goddamn.
That's off by
I'll make that first one.
It's a miss. We are one attempt into this competition, and Charles Barkley has already seen enough. Anthony asks for the ball, and Charles just stares at him. Have you ever, in your life, seen someone so unamused? Meanwhile, Kenny Smith is taking off his jacket to prepare to lay that NBA caliber beatdown.
I'm going to take it off, Shaq.
Both of us ain't going to lose today.
Actually, it's the shirt. It's the shirt that's tight. Oh! It's the shirt that's tight, Ernie.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying, Ernie? You know what I'm saying? Oh, this is the shirt that's...
Bro, he's shooting that bitch far as hell. What is going on? Nah, let me see Kenny again.
Actually, it's the shirt. It's the shirt that's tight.
Splash. Wow.
Oh! It's the shirt that's tight, Ernie. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-oh, big brick.
You know what I'm saying? Oh.
All right, so I got a theory. Here's my theory, right? I hope I don't spoil it for y'all, but also I hope I'm right. Did he miss those first two on purpose? Just so he could make 3 in a row? Well, that wouldn't make sense because if it's first to 3 and you make it, you know, I guess that wouldn't necessarily. Well, let's see how the narrative unfolds.
But it's the shirt that's tight, Ernie. It's the first. It's the shirt
this
that's
kid
tight.
look good as hell.
But it's the form that's never tight.
Point.
The form ain't never tight, Ernie. Turn ain't never tight.
Oh no. In dress shoes and slacks, Kenny went into the shootout completely cold, but he's already heating up. And our friend Anthony is 0 for 2. Now,
I'm not on my parents' health insurance
he looked
anymore,
like Tony
and I work for
Stadavici.
myself doing a bit of everything. So I found a plan for...
I want to take this moment to remind everyone out there about a quote a wise man once said. I am closer to LeBron than you are to me. Famous words uttered by none other than Brian Scalabrine. For 11 seasons, Brian spent his time in the NBA as the league's resident scrub, averaged 3 points a game, didn't see the court on many nights. In fact, in 2012, while LeBron was in his prime and nearly led the league in scoring, Brian was putting up a whopping 1 point per game.
He just like me for real.
About as far away from LeBron as a player in the NBA is going to get. And yet, despite this, Brian was acutely aware of the fact that even with this massive void, as an NBA player, he was still worlds closer to LeBron than we are to him. One of the worst, but still an NBA player.
Yeah,
At
man.
the time of this shootout, Kenny Smith
It is better to be the worst of the best than to be the best of the worst.
had been retired for over 2 decades. He spent his days in a chair talking about the game, not playing it, but he is still a former NBA player, and the gap between him and Anthony was insurmountable.
All right, there it is. See?
That's off by
I'll make that first one. Oh, I might have to take this off. I might have to take it off.
But I'm in a shootout with Kenny and he take his shit off.
Take it off, Shaq.
I'm going home. I'm cutting the cameras dead ass.
Actually, it's the shirt. It's the
No,
shirt
sir.
that's tight.
Yes.
Oh, it's the shirt that's tight.
All right, y'all. After this, we're gonna start the man video. Hopefully, Luna said she might be able to join after she gets something from the grocery store. A lot of controversial takes she's gonna have.
Hey, Ernie. You know what I'm saying, Ernie?
We can jump in the chat if y'all would like.
This is the shirt that's tight, Ernie. It's the first. It's the shirt that's tight. But it's the form that's never tight. The form ain't never tight, Ernie. Turn ain't never tight. Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go home. Let's go home.
That's so funny.
What was supposed to be Anthony's time to show everyone what the best shooter in the world can do turned into 90 seconds of badgering, yelling, excuses, and 2 missed shots. The poor guy didn't even get a third one. Kenny went 3 for 3, and it was over. Where's that 20-foot assembly required shooting contraption when you need it? His moment came, and it went. The crew does their best to make it.
Fun fact about Scalabrine, he challenged anyone who thought he could have beat him to a challenge. Broadcasters call it the challenge. It's challenge average Joes, high school stars, and top-rated college players in 101 up to 11. The most someone scored on him, Damn. Have I ever scored 4 points? I have never scored 4 points in a game.
Anthony feel better, but the damage is already done. This man holds 7 basketball shooting world records. In terms of us average Joes, he can shoot the rock better than just about anyone. He's hit 31 three-pointers in a single minute. He's made over 200 free throws in 3 minutes. But on this day, Anthony finally learned the haunting truth that we all have to come to terms with eventually. He is still not better than an NBA player, even when they're 54, decades into retirement, and wearing a suit.
And didn't warm up. You know, and see, that's the thing about the NBA, right? They always say correctly, you know, out of all the college players every single year, only 2% of players nationally will ever make it to the league. 2%, right? Got 100 motherfuckers in a room, 2 of them gonna make it. Yeah, 50 motherfuckers in a room, 1 of them gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? You have to be that good. Like, the suckiest NBA players, as we have just clearly demonstrated, are light years better than everybody else. That's, I mean, it's bananas. It's absolute bananas. Where's that video? All right.
Mobile games are going big.
Oh my God, shut the fuck up.
Play the official PC version of Clash of Clans with Google
Good
Play.
I'm so tired of like paying $150 for a first date, and then you just ghost me. And the next week I'm like hurting for cash. I'm like, I could have really used that $150. Like, why did I have to? Also, the trade.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ali. That was definitely a pressure element, a conditioning, a mental conditioning element. One guy is like, you know, he's a robot. You know, he performs in a controlled environment. You know, in a laboratory essentially, where he controls all the variables. Kenny had to do it in every possible situation. 3-point shot. You know, random pickup game, you know, chilling down at the Y, you know what I'm saying, doing it on live television. It doesn't, his physical ability is not what allowed him to make those 3 shots in a row. It was his mental conditioning. Anybody can practice enough to make a shot in the perfect setting, right? But years in the league, bro, it'll do that to you. 100% is the mental factor. Oh, yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Okay, we all agree. Anyway, I'm going to hop in the voice chat. Feel free to join if you want. No pressure by any stretch of the imagination, but if you want to be there, because they're talking about spending $150 on a first date, man, y'all already know. Broadcasting out of Atlanta, Georgia, that is essentially the most powerful talking point right now in Atlanta culture, in black culture, how much you spend on a first date, right? Especially with the food scene as controversial as Atlanta right now. Listen, this strikes close to home. Fortunately, not too close to home because I've been in a very stable relationship for like over half a decade now. Thank God. Hope that continues forever. So I'm not like out here dating, but it's part of, I'm involved in the conversation just because I like to put my opinion in places it absolutely does not belong. That is what I do here on this platform. Anyway, let's start over.
I'm so tired of like paying $150 for a first date, and then you just ghost me. And the next week I'm like hurting for cash.
I am only bragging if you are offended. If you, what's the old country saying? Because you know I'm a country boy. Hit dogs, bark the loudest. If you receive something from that, Ashley, then maybe you were the one who was supposed to hear it. If not, I don't know.
I'm like, I could have really used that $150. Like, why did I have to?
Also, the trade-off of like going on a date and as the man being like, oh, this sucks, I have to pay, or as the woman being like, oh, this sucks, I might get murdered, is like a pretty big imbalance.
Whoa, why did it just get so goddamn loud? Anyway, I'm gonna continue, but I'm gonna post this on Twitter. Let people know we in there.
How you guys doing?
Twitter? See, the problem is when I go on Twitter, my personal Twitter pops up instead of my my stream Twitter, and that's dangerous because I could go on Twitter one of these days. I don't know. Shit gonna pop up. Ain't nothing crazy. I ain't following it on like my regular page or nothing like that. But like, y'all know Twitter is completely unpredictable. Almost as unpredictable as Facebook. And Facebook is just hell, so whatever.
My name's Krishna. Thank you all for being here and talking through masculinity, what it means to be a man, etc. Obviously, we couldn't fit.
I agree, Ashley. And you know what, Ashley? I would love for you to expand upon that. What does paying for a meal, how is that related to women being in danger. I'm not saying I don't understand. I'm not saying you don't understand. I would just love for you to flesh that out because I like to have those things on the record.
Every man in the country into this room. We tried to get a diverse perspective, but of course, that caveat, we're not everyone. I wanted to start by telling you why this is something that I'm interested in. I have an 8-year-old son, and I'm seeing him absorb what manliness might mean. I'm thinking to myself, like, what does it mean to be a man? To start, maybe we could just introduce each other to each other, and if you were to describe what it means to be a man or to be masculine.
My name is Tahoe. I'm a black man from the hood. When I was young, being a man, you had to be tough. You had to be hard. And now, to me, being a man is a lot different.
There's so much dust under Hazel's claws, her nails. Anyway, I just want to pause real quick just to point this out before we get started. Obviously, this is going to be a very thorough discussion, maybe thorough, on like gender and sexuality and things like that. But I just want to remind people, no one is born a man or a woman. No one is born a man or a woman, right? If you have a daughter and you say that she came out as a woman, I just stop yourself right there. Please seek help, stay away from the children. You know what I'm saying? No one is born a man or a woman. It's something you become. It's something you are taught to be, right? The reason why people panic about fatherless homes is because, you know, they want, according to a lot of traditional perspectives, you need that parent, that male parental figure to help raise a child, but raise a child into what? You know, raise a son to become a man, raise a daughter to become a, you know, woman, whatever have you. The point that I'm making is that, like, we do not come out as the things we are intended to be, intended by our own will and intended by the society's will impressed upon us, you know, but we don't just exist that way. It's something we become, something we choose to be, something we're molded into. And I feel like that is that feels like a hot take, but it shouldn't be a controversial thing to say. I feel like it's really easy to understand if you just take it step by step. Let me talk about it once I get off. Okay, what's up, Mike?
To me, being a man is knowing when to be soft, knowing that you don't always have to run the charge. You can actually listen. You know what I mean? So things have changed a lot over the course of the years for me.
I'm Griffin, and I don't identify as a man. I'm non-binary. I still have elements of, you know, my identity that are masculine, elements that are feminine, elements that don't fall within that range. And I personally just don't feel tied to like the norms or the confines of gender at all.
Well, welcome.
My name is Dylan, and I think that the notion of masculinity is just something that can be possessed by man or woman. Man, woman, non-gender conforming person. What it means to be masculine is just like, you know, changing and like very fluid. But I think that, you know, masculinity is something that just, you know, like you embody based off of just like how you show up in this world as a man and just like, you know, how you go about being your day-to-day.
How you show up. Interesting.
Yes.
What's up, guys? My name is Paul. I'm a fitness entrepreneur. I'm an immigrant. I came here when I was...
He's a Finnish? Or fitness? Fitness! Okay, I thought he said Finnish, like he's from Finland.
4 years old with my family. It's kind of funny how we're talking about it. My take on masculinity is not about talking as much as doing. I think at its core, a man has to be efficient, competent, and be willing to do what it takes for themselves and their loved ones.
I have an opinion that I don't think is appropriate to share, but somebody remind me and I'll tell y'all later.
I was not always a good man. I was not always what you would call a healthy masculine.
What's your name? Oh my God. First thing out of this dude's mouth is, I wasn't always a good man.
And their loved ones.
I was not always a good man.
Do you hate his accent? Ashley, do you hate his diction? I'm gonna leave it at those two options because I don't want to get overwhelmed. Diction or accent? I feel like it's accent.
I was not always what you would call a healthy masculine man. And so as my life has changed, I've identified 5 points that I think make a truly masculine man.
I'll be honest with y'all, I fuck with
masculine.
that. Okay. I do kind of fuck
with that. Point number 1 is a man who walks with God.
God damn it. I spoke too soon. Fuck your hat. Hey, bro, ain't nothing wrong with walking with God. That's cool. But to make that as definitionally a part of being a man, I asked for hot takes, bro.
Number 2 is a man who stands on principle. Point number 3, which is a masculine man, is self-sacrificing. So someone who is willing to sacrifice for point 4, the people that he leads. A true man is a leader. And number 5, a masculine man is never a coward.
That's a lot there.
Yeah.
Let's get into that as we go on.
I think what it means to be a man is responsibility.
as a man, it can come with a lot of power. And with great power comes great responsibility. In short words.
I know who he got that
That's from Spider-Man, I think.
Yeah,
right?
that's what's
Uncle Ben.
James.
Well, my name is James Killen, former United States Marine turned Air Force officer. Got a couple combat tours, but I'm also a father of 3 girls who mellowed me out. The idea of masculinity is something that I find interesting because it is changing, and I can actually see those changes in myself. And I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this panel.
Thanks for your service. Andre.
Hey, what's up?
All right, so question for the people out there, for the veterans and the people who know veterans, interact with veterans. How do y'all feel about the thank you for the service line? Like, I know traditionally, historically, that's what we do. I've heard a lot of people who have served in the military who say they don't care for it, or they're indifferent to it, or they dislike it. And I hadn't heard that as a child, but I'm hearing it a lot as an adult. I'm wondering how y'all feel about that. Got to be number 1 on the list. I hate how he talks. Gotcha. Oh God. LMAO. Got to be number 1 on the list. Yeah, actually, were you talking about his diction or his accent? If you have the time. I can't find this fucking emoji.
Man. I think my idea of a real man is, someone that gets the job done, and provides and all that.
Just showing appreciation.
I don't even know what that means anymore, but yeah, I don't know. It's changing every day.
How do you think it's changing?
No, it just seems like everything is changing every day. It's like a new world order, so I don't...
That's an interesting way to describe that. Brunello Cucinelli. Haha, Cucci! I'm sorry, I'm a child. All right, put this on there. Get that there. There we go. I don't like commercials, but I like Christmas commercials. It almost doesn't matter what the commercial's about. If it's like Christmas themed, I'll fuck with it. I'll fuck with a Christmas commercial. They're usually so well lit, so festive, so cheerful, so emotionally impactful. I don't know what it is, but I feel like capitalism, gotta get rid of it. But them Christmas commercials, I think we've done one thing right. I think we've got something down pat.
I have a hard time keeping up with
fuck these. I'm not gonna read that sentence out loud. Shit, no.
Stuff. So I feel like tomorrow it's gonna be something else.
I'm not gonna say that shit.
Like, you're wrong. It's this now.
That is Ashley's comment.
I feel like you might say the wrong thing.
I'm not really masculine myself, so I can't. I feel like I'm like the wrong person to ask.
Maybe the right person to ask. Christian.
What it means to be a man is to be a...
We know him. We know Christian Walker. Everyone in this chat should know Christian Walker. His father went to my alma mater, and his father ran for Senate in my state. His father, Herschel Walker, yes, this is his son. We dislike his son. I sided with him for one moment when his father was running his campaign, but Christian Walker, infamous for a ton of terrible takes. I can't say whether or not he's a good or bad person, honestly, because I don't pay that much attention to him. But every time he comes across my page, I get angry because he says some wild, outlandish, despicable shit. But he was right about his father.
A adult human male.
That's sort of a very formal definition, but I think that might be a good place to kick off because there's a lot of talk.
He's a conservative reactionary. He's gay, but he's that type of gay mixed conservative who will be like the anti-woke agenda, or the trans Tifa this, or racism isn't real, that bullshit, that type of guy. He talks like he has a black father and a white mother, which he does.
Writing of research these days that says there's a crisis in masculinity. Is there a crisis in masculinity? And if so, what is that crisis?
I say yes, there's a crisis in masculinity because there is I would argue, an understandable but ultimately needless attempt to define masculinity, just like we're doing right now, literally right now. And we're trying to define something that really doesn't need a definition, I think the crisis is that for generations, there was an idea of what masculinity is and what it should be and what it should look like. And then all of a sudden, things are changing. All of a sudden, it's not really all of a sudden, but it feels like all of a sudden everything is changing. Everything we thought we knew is completely upended, and that feels like a crisis. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. but it's kind of the definition of a crisis.
Thing that I see is a lot of deconstructing generational trauma.
He is famous, yes.
Be a man, boys don't cry, this, that, and the other thing. And I think that's actually one of the reasons why we see it as a crisis, because we're actually trying to redefine what it means to be a man, and none of us have any idea because we're just out here trying to be whoever we are.
That's right.
Facts.
I think that historically, being a man was rooted in patriarchy and misogyny. And now we realize how harmful that has been over the years.
Where is this filmed? Because these sound like answers from a cut video. Nah, a Jubilee video. Why? We got the one guy with the hat, God, and we got Christian. Are they going to be like the conservatives on the panel?
And so we don't really know how to define where we're supposed to be. And I think the reason that they're saying it's a crisis is because
nobody's mentioned the
woke
box
left has
yet.
gotten so small for just being, say, straight.
10 months ago.
Just being a hetero, right? Because if you do anything, women judge you.
What do you mean anything?
If I dance a certain way, or if I wear my hair a certain way, if I dress a certain way, they go, real men don't do that.
Oh, Black Twitter is incredibly familiar with that. Holy shit. Bro, not you celebrating your birthday, not you eating rolls, not you eating crab legs, not you smiling and enjoying your life. Yeah, Black Twitter knows what the fuck that's about.
Real men don't do that. And so you get scared to move a certain way because you don't want to get judged or outed out of the accepted part of your community. And I think that kind of has us.
I want to hear that again. You don't want to get outed out of the accepted part of your community. Hey, hold on.
Out of the accepted part of your community.
One more time.
Scared to move a certain way because you don't want to get judged or outed out of the accepted part of your community. And I think that kind of has us in an uproar, and we don't know where to be. Like, where's the safe place to be for men now? You know what I mean? And it's kind of disturbing.
I was what you would call a toxic masculine male growing up. And I had good men that sewed into me. They gave me good advice. But I never found manhood or never understood my place as a man until one day I humbled myself and I gave my life to the Lord Jesus Christ. And I'm telling you right now, walking with God changed my life forever.
Can you define toxic masculinity? Like,
I would say toxic masculinity is like what he was just saying, where you're using that. Toxic masculinity is like what he was just saying, where you're using that. Toxic masculinity is like
what the fuck? Oh, I did the thing. Okay, I don't care what his definition of toxic masculinity is. It's probably important to establish that. Sure, I want to know, what do you mean walk with God? What does you walking with God have to do with Jesus? Excuse me. What does you walking with Jesus have to do with you being a man? Hello, Ashley.
I'm here.
Welcome. Ashley, what does your walk with God have to do with you being a man?
I think that's a good question for you to ask me after my experience.
I think you are the most qualified person to respond to that question.
Why am I the most qualified person?
We're waiting for your answer.
What was the question again?
What does your walk with God have to do with you being a man?
Do I want to be today? Oh, God.
Finally, I clipped all these goddamn nails. What's her experience?
Ew.
Well, number one, she is a devout Christian. Number two, she is a man in a cowboy hat. So I feel like she would have an identical experience to every piece of this man's life. They're the same person. Obviously.
Don't forget, I'm a white man in a cowboy hat. Changes things.
She also has a beard, so people treat bearded people differently. Better, actually. Yeah.
It's just, in the end, with the way that the modern people have taken, the modern extremist people have taken Christianity, it only benefits the man. That's my 2 cents, my personal take. Walk with God, always great. I believe we all are equal, wonderful children with God, but some people don't believe that, and I hate to say it, but when you say my walk with God like that and say my faith in God as my number one principle of being a man, what does that mean? Like, are you talking about are you talking about principles on how you should act? Like, what it just doesn't make any sense.
So you said it's the
my trauma's
patriarchy.
coming up. Oh, definitely it's the patriarchy. Like, Christianity and patriarchy are like best friends, man.
Very interesting sentence. I hope that does not get clipped out of context. Moving on.
That leadership role or that aggressive nature in a harmful way to harm other people, to get your way. So the biblical structure for manhood is very humble. It's self-sacrifice. It's not self-motivated, but it is motivated by principle and standing on what's right. So there is a clear-cut vision for manhood in the Bible that I live by, and I think our culture used to live by, and I think our culture has lost its way.
Do you agree with those statements?
I'm getting triggered because of yeah, I'm getting triggered. I understand where he's coming from. And some principles are good. I mean, overall, the principles are good, but yeah. I get where he's coming from, but I feel like it can easily turn left if not careful.
We're going to mark that down as a yes.
I think everybody sort of has a different definition of toxic masculinity. I don't find masculinity toxic in and of itself, but I do believe in bad men, and bad men exist.
Like your father.
But does that mean every man is toxically masculine? No.
When you're talking about a crisis on masculinity, I think that there's a lack of understanding there. So it's like masculinity, being masculine isn't toxic. It's just like there are portions of it that you can dive into that make it toxic.
Because I think a lot of what we think of masculinity is tied into patriarchy, right? Which is to say, like, for the longest period of human history, like, men dominated women and got the lion's share of stuff.
I think a lot of times some people make masculinity into a caricature, like it has to be this alpha bro tough guy.
Exactly.
And I find the low-key guy who, you know, is a really great father and a great husband and maybe not like drinking raw eggs every day to be a lot more masculine than the alpha.
He's like digging on his dad. Like, everything that he's talking about being a man, it's like about his dad. It's crazy to me.
Well, it's very possible that that is the case for every man on this panel. When they're talking about good men and bad men, I would suspect
about their father?
I would suspect that if they all have a father present in their life, their father is their number one example of how to or how not to be a man.
You put in a very fair perspective about it. Can't relate because not like I'm a man. I almost said something else, and I was like, that's not true.
You may not be a man, but you have a father who is active in your life, and your understanding of masculinity is unquestionably influenced by your experiences with your father.
Okay. Yeah.
Silence is complicity.
Alpha bro who's going and like banging 20 women per weekend and not a responsible man. I find it more masculine to be a good guy.
I think the background of this is that we are saying that gender is this like real thing that has real ideas and implications. And Griffin, I'm wondering, as someone who identifies as non-binary, how does this conversation strike you?
Well,
before they speak, real quick, it is important to define what real means. Real is not the same as natural. Real means it has consequences in that, like, for example, don't think of it like in the mathematic terms, like real GDP versus nominal GDP, or, you know, gross domestic product versus, no. What they mean by real doesn't necessarily mean naturally occurring. They just mean it is a thing that exists, maybe because we made it up, but it's there now.
I think that it kind of becomes like irrelevant whether or not we attribute like having like a good ethical compass to being like masculine. Attributing that to like the gender constructs which we have made up, which are like somewhat pointless, like
I'm sorry. I can't help but say I'm really fucking with the dress. The upside down cross though, that's an interesting statement. A lot of pearls.
Kind of just feed into needless roles that uphold the patriarchy without even knowing it. A lot of those things are just things that people should be doing because they're like morally right. Like if you're in a family, you should probably support your family. And I really don't think that it has to do with like your manhood.
These characteristics that we're talking about are baked into an old system of domestic life.
I think that's actually where we get toxic masculinity. Like, none of us can really describe what it is, but we can see it when it happens.
So we learn it, right?
I'm human, yeah.
This is something we learned from the world. It's something we learned from, like, TV and shit, and it's maybe something we learned from our dads, too. Tell me about your dad.
I'm a first-generation kid. My dad is from Guyana. Grew up in very humble beginnings, poor family. First time I remember my dad telling me he loved me was when I was 17. And he was like saying like he was proud of me because I was about to graduate high school and things like that, you know. I'm appreciative of all the other things, you know, being present as a provider, but in terms of like, you know, the conversation piece and like, oh, I want to talk to my dad about, you know, sex or something, or I want to talk to my dad about, oh, this person broke up with me and I'm feeling pretty sad about it. I didn't have those conversations.
So like emotional language as part of like how you talk to your dad.
Yeah.
And my definition of manhood came solely from my relationship with God. It didn't come from my father.
He has not mentioned God one time. Not a criticism, but very much an observation.
And come from the good influences around me.
Is God a man?
Yeah, and God is a man.
All right.
What?
I think we're
what
finally
was
getting to
with
something
sex
interesting.
Education?
Wait, what?
I was about to say, what if God is a woman? I'm sorry, I was thinking about sex education and how God ended up being a woman there, but
What?
Oh.
What are you talking about?
Okay, hold on. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes.
Yes.
This man and him and God, you know, because in the end, right, do we know that God is a man? I mean, they do always use he, right?
I mean,
when referring to God?
If you're referring to, like, the Bible, then yes.
The Bible.
They say God is a man because of Jesus, right? Mike, what? What do you mean by that, Mike?
What?
Also, sex education.
Jesus
What are you talking
and
about?
God are separate entities. Oh, Sex Education, the show? From
My
Netflix?
God. That is not a pun. So you're talking about a TV show?
I was talking about a TV show, yeah.
My goodness. Okay. Well, with that context, things are 2% clearer. Okay, now what is this show, Sex Education on Netflix? What does that have to do with God and God's gender?
Oh, they portray God there as a woman. And so it got me thinking, like, okay, but, like, what if God isn't a man? He said it so confidently that, yeah, God is a man. But I'm like, do you really know, though? Because the other thing is, I did ask about whether or not the Bible itself refers to God as a male. However,
yes,
all of the books and shit, all the translations were translated by men. So, like, aren't they going to think that, like, this person in power is a male because we men are people of power, just in terms of translations? Because I don't know or remember what if like a neutral term was used when the Bible was first written before all the translations and whatnot took over the world. Do you get what I'm saying?
Almost. You are sharing some very interesting opinions. Trying to decipher what Mike is saying while hearing what you're saying is such a fun challenge for me, I will say. Are you saying, Ashley, I'll get right back to you, Mike. Are you saying, Ashley, that because men predominantly were the authors of the Bible, this particular religious text, you think that may have a hand in God being gendered as male?
Oh, I forgot about the writers. They were all men, weren't they?
We have no way of knowing that.
Well, okay. Let's say I was thinking more of the translators, right?
So,
people who translated the original text of the Bible, which I don't even remember what the original text was. I want to say Hebrew, but I was like, I don't think that's right.
It's in Hebrew and
the
Greek.
point. Okay. So with that, right, we technically don't know who the true author or authors were of the Bible. We just know there were people out there who translated all of this into, let's say, modern day English for now. With that, I'm pretty sure all the translators were men. So I wouldn't be surprised if they took it upon themselves to gender all these people of power as male, because that's how society was. I mean, with certain things in science, apparently, they all, what was it? The scientists that are all male pushed male, or hold on, let me think about how I should phrase this, because it's like in nature, when scientists were observing animals and like studying animals and stuff, the scientists are all male. And so they, with their male thinking, would think that, I think it was about lions and like the lion packs, how they thought the lion is like the man, it's like, it's the leader of the pack, and they have all these like female lions around with them. But I think apparently it's like the opposite. The female lions don't give a shit about the male lion and something like that, and they just use the male lion for reproduction or whatever. So with that, it's kind of like not surprising, because most people, what they would do is they would, if there's going to be bias when you're doing like translations or making observations, right? So I feel like with this, it's not surprising that like, or it's not surprising, but I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out where, yeah, maybe there were some women who were like prophets instead of men, but then like with years of translations, they just decided to call them all men.
And by them, you mean who? Call them all men?
Prophets and whatnot, in the Bible. Was it prophets? The disciples? Oh man, it's been years since I...
To whom are you referring exactly?
Like, people in the Bible. They're
right.
Like all people of...
Hello, Luna.
People of importance, like in the New Testament. They're pretty much all male, right?
No. There are two very important Marys in the New Testament.
Wait, what? That wasn't the Old Testament?
Mary is in the New
okay.
Testament because she gives birth to Jesus, and Jesus is in the New Testament.
Okay. I mean, I still think my statement generally still stands, besides that whole whatever. But
we're trying to I'm trying to decipher the points that Mike and Ashley are making, Luna. Mike's saying a whole bunch of crazy shit, saying is God male because Jesus is male. I'm gonna come back to that at some point. And I'm trying to understand what Ashley's saying. Ashley, are you saying that because the authors of the Bible were male, that is the reason that God is gendered as masculine?
I want to say authors because we don't know who the authors are. I kind of want to say the translators.
Okay. Like you could translate the original text from Hebrew today, and a lot of the people that do that are women. You know, like we didn't stop translating the Bible hundreds of years ago.
What do you mean we didn't stop translating the Bible? Why do you need to translate it again?
There are several versions of the Bible in multiple languages. There are tons of versions of the Bible in English alone. There's the King James Version, which I imagine is the one you're probably thinking of, but there's also the New International Version, There's like a ton of others that were all translated by different people. You can translate again if you want to.
But that besides the point. I still think that there's like bias. I don't think like who really knows what actually happened, and these accounts, sure, let's call them authors, whatever. Like they might have been biased.
I'm not suggesting that they aren't biased. I'm not suggesting that they aren't biased. I'm trying to understand, are you saying that that bias is the reason that God is gendered as masculine in the Bible?
I don't want to say is the reason. I don't want to make it because we don't know. I don't know.
How about
I'm just
is
saying
a
it could
reason?
be a possibility. I'm just saying it's a possibility.
What about
What was the question?
What? Hello, Luna. I'm asking Ashley.
Hello.
Not the reason.
Hello.
Are you saying that gendered bias is a reason that God is likely gendered masculine in the Bible?
Maybe.
I think so.
Hey, who knows, man? Like, God could be both genders. I don't know. We don't know.
I think the Christian God is most likely male or in the image of a male, considering they refer to him as he, him throughout the entire Bible.
Yeah, he is unquestionably masculine. We know that, like that. That's just a fact. Like whether or not we can go to heaven and ask God what your pronouns are is like we can't do that. So that's not the question we're trying to ask. We're not trying to decipher what is the gender of God. And we're talking about one very particular interpretation of one very particular religion's God. Like Jews and Christians and Muslims do not all agree on this, and they're all a part of the same family of faiths, all Abrahamic religions. There are so many Hindu deities of all types of genders that we haven't even unpacked yet, but we're specifically talking about the Judeo-Christian interpretation of God. We know for a fact that that version of God is intended to be masculine. I'm trying to ask Ashley, do you think that the reason that that God was established as masculine is because of the patriarchy?
Wow, you really cleaned up that question because it was a lot more complicated before. It could be. I wouldn't know.
I think it is.
So you're not making the point that the patriarchy is part of the reason that God is masculine in the Bible? Are you just saying that maybe that's a thing, but you're not saying that that is a thing?
Yeah, because how would I know? I'm just saying maybe that could have been the reason.
I'm extremely
Maybe not.
surprised. Oh my goodness.
Why are you extremely surprised?
I am surprised that you're not saying with certainty, yes, part of the reason that God is a he in the Bible is because men wrote it and patriarchy. And even if women wrote it, women writing it under patriarchy would still probably put the supreme being as like being a male because it's a patriarchy. I'm surprised you aren't just certain about that. I feel like everybody's certain about that. I feel like that's like a foregone conclusion.
Even women under the patriarchy will put man as like the leader? Ugh, that's news to me. That's disgusting.
Well,
That's sad.
it's the patriarchy. Like if you look across the street where you live and you'll probably find a woman in a patriarchal society like ours who believes that a man is the head of the household. Why would he not also be the head of the universe?
Facts.
You're right, and I hate to admit that you're right.
Fantastic. All I'm saying is I'm surprised that you went from this is what this is, like you sound like a conspiracy theorist, but a sure one, to being like, I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of saying that. No, girl, you know what you know. We all know this. Everybody knows.
No. I'm just saying I don't know. You're asking me it seems like you're asking me for a fact. Like slam down on table for a fact. Theory proven, everything. I have the facts and all the receipts that yes, God is, who knows what God's gender is, but he's considered a he because of the patriarchy. I'm just saying it could be something. I wouldn't know. There's no way to prove it unless we all die right now and meet up in heaven or some shit like that. I'm just saying, you would never know, but it is something to consider.
I think there's plenty of ways to prove it without dying.
I'm not gonna go there.
That's just my opinion.
Before we unpack that, all I'm saying is the thing that surprised me is that when I asked you, is it a reason, you didn't say yes. You said maybe. I feel like that's an easy yes. I feel like it's very easy for anybody, conservative, especially people in the South, people that read the Bible, they will offer that to you. They'll be like, yeah, a man is the head of the household. He is the head of the universe. They may not use words like patriarchy. They may not use words like toxic masculinity. That may not be part of their vocabulary, but they're perfectly fine admitting that, yeah, God is a he because a man is the head of all things. They will tell you that. I feel like I don't know. I'm just surprised that when I asked if you thought it was a factor, you didn't say, yes, it's a factor. You said maybe it could be a factor.
Maybe I got too deep into like who actually translated that shit, and then I was like, I don't know where we're going with this. But besides the fact, we can continue. It's fine.
I feel like Ashley thinks that she was about to walk into a trap, which is why she backpedaled on her opinion.
Marquise always makes me feel like I'm walking into a trap. He like corrected me like 5 gazillion times, and I'm like, well, who knows what anymore.
Very interesting.
I understand.
Very interesting that offering
what,
additional information, clarification, factual statements is now interpreted as a trap. But you know what? We're gonna move on.
God and God is a father, and he's a
also
man.
let me start over this quote so you can see how we got here.
As part of like how you talk to your dad.
Yeah.
I would like
My
that.
definition of manhood came solely from my relationship with God. It didn't come from my father. It didn't come from the good influences around me.
Is God a man?
Yeah, and God is a man.
He is.
God and God.
That's how we got here.
Is a father, and he's a good father. He's a perfect
I'm sorry,
father.
what is his
And so I
name?
think there.
What is his name?
For some reason, I can't hear the stream on Discord.
I don't know what to do about that.
I don't know either.
Oh.
Can you hear it, Ashley?
Yeah.
Mike, hop in the chat.
Probably me.
There is a clear definition of man.
Basically, he said, is God a man? And he said, yes, God is a man. He's a father. He's a perfect father, and he's about to continue.
Manhood, where I guess that's where I diverge from everyone else in the room. I believe manhood is clearly defined by God. It is the perfect example of what a man should be.
Christian, I see you nodding your head.
I agree.
I completely disagree. If you
It's a perfect example of what a man should be. I would think Jesus maybe is a perfect example of what a man should be.
Agreed.
But God is not a man.
No one has
He's
killed
a
more
God.
people. No one has killed more people than God.
Quote unquote, he is a God. He's not a man. That's the whole point. That's why Jesus was a thing.
I feel like a lot of people get confused with Jesus and God. I'm like, yeah, technically they're like part of the same like trio entity thing.
Trinity.
But God and Jesus are different.
The way I understand it is that God created a human version of himself, put himself in a virgin, came out, and basically lived the perfect life of what it means to be a perfect human. That's how I interpreted it, which is why they say man and God are the same. That's the only way I'm able to like rationalize it, is that God is literally Jesus. He put himself into a human body, and that's why he is perfect.
So
Jesus,
the first thing you said was a very good, it was a very theologically sound argument, right? In that God is a God, that's why Jesus is there. You should be like Jesus, not like God. Yeah, the point of being a Christian is to be Christ-like. That's true. That theologically speaking, that is absolutely true. Are God and Jesus the same thing? Yes and no. That's the entire point of the Trinity, is that there are 3 interpretations of the same essence. They are all one, but they are not all the same personality. It's probably the easiest non-religious way to put it. That being said, though, I still disagree with this guy. You should not be like God. God is kind of murderous. And
you literally can't be like God. That's the point.
Yeah.
Like,
correct.
You literally can't.
You also can't be
You
like
literally
Jesus.
can't be like Jesus, which is also the point. You can strive, which is why he said he's the perfect example, but you will never attain that, is what the Christians always say.
Correct. What I'm saying though is like, it doesn't, even if you could be like God, the point that I'm making is that you shouldn't want to be, because the God of the Old Testament is like vengeful and jealous and violent and chooses favorites, even though we're all equal. Yeah, I don't. He doesn't set a good example. Is my point. It's like even if you could follow in the example of God, that's not an example any man should say they want to follow. That would make you a murderous lunatic. But
apparently though the Old Testament doesn't matter. So
the Old Testament doesn't matter in terms of whether or not you get saved. It's still canonical though. Like that is still who God is and how God is. But you don't have to follow the old traditions of ancient Israel in order to be saved. You just have to believe in Christ Jesus as your savior in your heart of hearts. And then that's how you get in. You get in through faith. But that when they say the Old Testament doesn't matter anymore, there's a new covenant. We don't have to follow the old covenant. They are not saying ignore the Old Testament. They're saying that the original covenant, which is chop off your foreskin and you'll get into heaven, that doesn't matter anymore. Now you just got to follow Jesus. That's a completely different thing.
So it's just like Old Testament is just old stories, and New Testament is like shit you should pay attention to.
No, ma'am.
Basically.
Absolutely not. The blind lead the blind. Jesus Christ.
Because we're not supposed to follow the Old Testament anymore. So
I feel like there's a misinterpretation.
That's not what you just said. Hold on.
No. There is a.
Literally what he said.
It's like a game of telephone. It's like someone somewhere said something similar, and y'all have heard it from people that did not know what they were talking about when they said it. So now it's been diluted down to don't follow the Old Testament. That was never what you were supposed to do. It is we no longer belong under the old covenant. The original covenant that God made to Abraham when he brought him into the land of Canaan was chop off your foreskin, and I will give you descendants as numerous as the stars. That's the old covenant, right? The new covenant is believe in Jesus, you'll get into heaven. They are not saying ignore the entire Old Testament. You can't. The Old Testament is history. It's prophecy from the different prophets. There are lessons in there, parables and things like that. Like you're not supposed to ignore it. The point of the New Testament is like, this is the new way to get into heaven. Don't ignore the old shit, but there's a different way to get inside now.
Wait, so you're telling me that back in the day, men just had to get circumcised in order for them to go into heaven?
That is literally the foundation of the Jewish faith, yes.
Crazy.
I see.
So they could be shitty people. As long as they ain't got that foreskin, it's all good.
As long as they ain't got that foreskin. That's a fucking crazy thing you just said. I'm pressing play.
I literally just said what you said.
You said it in a way that made it sound so much more hilariously absurd.
Don't spend another dime on Amazon.
Because it is. It's
you can be a terrible person, but as long as you ain't got that foreskin. Moving on.
Sort of both males and females are in raising a child.
Yes.
But basically, the Old Testament is like what Alcy said. It's just stories that you can like learn from and shit. But they're not to be followed, i.e. why you can still get into heaven, quote unquote, if you eat shrimp.
Wait, what do you mean by follow? You say they're not supposed to be followed, but then you also call them stories. What do you mean by follow?
The commands in the Old Testament are not law anymore, meaning you don't have to follow them to get into heaven, which is what you said, is that there's a new covenant. So that's what I was saying, was that you don't have to follow the Old Testament, meaning you don't have to follow the commands in the Old Testament to be considered a good Christian or to go to heaven. The Old Testament is just like stories that are like life lessons or whatever. And it's basically like the history of the faith somehow.
Yeah, the Jewish people. The first five, at least. The first five written canonically by Moses, but we know that's not literally true. But that's as the story goes. Yeah. When I was getting confused because you said we're not supposed to follow the Old Testament, but when you say Old Testament, I thought you meant literally the Old Testament, but you meant the laws that just so happen to take place in the Old Testament. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean by follow. Like there's nothing in the Old Testament to follow except the law. Is what I'm saying.
Yes, generally speaking, yes. If that's the easiest way to understand it, yes. But it bears saying it's not just stories. So much of the Old Testament is literally prophecy, like the things that happen in the New Testament.
Stories.
No, baby. Prophecy. Stories are things that have happened. Prophecies are things that are going to happen. There are events.
Predictions.
Wait. Those why are you calling them prophecies, technically, they already happened, right? Or are we talking about? We're not talking about Revelations, are we?
No, ma'am. Revelations is the last book of the New Testament.
I know. That's why I was so confused. I'm like, why is this man talking about prophecies?
I think he's talking about the prophecies he's talking about are the prophecies that come about in the New Testament.
No, I'm not.
I think.
No.
Which they
Those
would be
are
irrelevant at that point.
No, those are some of them, sure. Like the coming of Jesus is certainly foretold in the Old Testament, but that's not even what I'm getting at. I call them prophecies because that's what they literally are. They were written by prophets like Elijah. Those prophecies foretold events that are supposed to happen not just at the end of days and not just in the New Testament. They're like incredibly important to followers of this faith for religious reasons, but also members of this community for cultural reasons, like Psalms written by King David. It's just a book full of songs and lessons, sure, some stories, parables even, but like these stories, these are words that people live by. It's not meant to be ignored. It certainly doesn't necessarily have to be adhered to in order to save your soul, but like people live by things like Psalms and prophecy. These are songs and stories. They're not just dead stories.
That's what I said. That's
they're
I
like
said.
generic.
There's stories and life lessons. That's what I said.
What were you saying, Ashley?
Oh no, I'm just saying I get where I understand where you're coming from about prophecy.
I think the traditional meaning of the word, well, maybe not traditional, but the meaning of prophecy that is well known and well used is that it's a foretelling of the future, which is why it was confusing, because you're literally just saying it in the literal sense of the word, is that they were written by prophets, and not a lot of people use the word prophecy in that way.
Incorrect.
Yeah.
I'm using it in the way that you described it. That's literally the way it is written. It is a prediction of what's to come.
You're talking about very, very, very general prophecy, because Song of Psalms can happen to anyone, right? Or Psalms can happen to anyone.
Psalms is not a prophecy.
Just don't know who.
Psalms is not a prophecy. It's not written by a prophet. It's written by King David.
Oh my God. So
when I mentioned prophecy, I meant it in the way that you are thinking of it. The layman's term, the colloquial term, somebody predicting something that will happen. That is what a lot of these books are. Like
you're saying
the ones written by the prophets.
Okay, but like technically they already happened. Like you mentioned Elijah, right?
The book, what's written in these prophecies, not all of them have come to pass. Some of them did. Some of them happened in the Old Testament, some of the New Testament. But are you operating under the assumption that like what every prophecy written in the Bible has already happened?
No, because we got the last book. But
not just Revelations. I'm talking about in the Old Testament.
Oof. I thought they all happened, but
I need an example of the prophecies that are yet to come that did not come to pass already.
I guess
that are written in the Old Testament.
Yeah, I mean, even if they did come true, like the coming of Jesus is happening, right? And that was stated somewhere in the Old Testament. Technically, it is a prophecy. It was just completed.
Yeah, but
so
like,
I guess I see where you're coming from.
But like, let's go back to Elijah, a prophet. If Elijah foretold in Elijah book 2, verse 97, there is going to be a McDonald's on the moon in the year 2100, right? It doesn't matter if he said it or not. The point still stands. If he said that something is going to happen in the future, is that not the prophet? Is that not a prophecy in the literal way that y'all just explained? The way that y'all said I wasn't using it, isn't that literally what prophecy means?
Yes.
Right.
But I'm confused because I don't know of any prophecies that were foretold in the Old Testament that did not come to pass in the New Testament. So I need an example of one.
When was the last time you read the Bible, though? Like, the Bible is a very large book. I can pull it up. No. Whoa. You're going to interpret that. Yes, you're going to take that the wrong way. You're going to take that the wrong way. I know you're going to take that the wrong way. I am going to pull one up. I'm just saying you should not rest. It is logically unsound to rest your particular perspective on the fact that you can't think of a prophecy that hasn't happened yet. The Bible
I
is
never
full of
said
them.
you couldn't think of one.
I
I'm
said you couldn't
asking
think of
you
one.
to tell me one.
No, I'm saying.
But the thing is, Camille did ask for an example because she couldn't think of one.
Right. And I'm just saying that, like, yeah, if your idea of, like, he's using prophecy in the wrong way, or that's not what a prophecy is, or I'm not understanding the concept.
That's not what I'm saying.
I know. I'm just saying.
It's more of like, okay, we see what you're saying and we see where you're coming from. We just need an example because we're not sure. It's just that we're like, it's just like confirmation.
I understand. So
like I need to know, what are you talking about? Because I don't know what you're talking about.
So
specifically.
Like the McDonald's on the moon, that didn't get the point across.
That's not a thing.
Prophecy of the third Jewish temple. Well, number one, there's no third Jewish temple. Daniel 9:24-27, 77s are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish transgressions, to put an end to sin, to atone for wickedness, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy. Yeah. It's a bunch of stuff. They're talking about the third temple.
What does that mean?
The Jews have not.
What does that mean?
I'm trying to explain. The Jews have not built the third temple. They built the first temple. It got destroyed when they were conquered by, I believe, Babylon, and were expelled out of the northern kingdom of Israel. And then they came back and built the second kingdom in Judea. And all Jews are descended from that faith that was built in that second temple called Rabbinic Judaism, right? The third temple has never been built. That's just one example. But the idea is there are unfulfilled prophecies all throughout the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament included. It doesn't really matter what the actual prophecy is if it hasn't happened yet. Does that get the point across? Like, there are things that they said would happen that have not happened. Is that not a prophecy?
I understand that to be what a prophecy is, but so the reason why I said you're using the word differently than the like widely used term is because you started saying they are prophecies because they were written by prophets.
Yeah, because
before we were saying that prophecies are like, predictions or whatever.
The reason I said that is because I mentioned they were like, we're not supposed to follow the Old Testament or whatever. And I'm saying the Old Testament is full of more than just stories. It also includes this, that, and the third. And one of those things are prophecies. And then Ashley asked me, she was like, why are you calling it a prophecy? And I'm pointing out the fact, this is the literal definition of a prophecy. It's called a prophecy because it is a prediction by a prophet. Like, it is that definition. Whether or not a prophet said it, it can still be a prophecy, but I'm trying to make that mental connection that, like, this is where the word prophecy comes from. A prophet gets divine inspiration from God or whoever, and then they say this thing is going to come to pass. That is the literal definition of a prophecy, which is why they're called prophets. I was just explaining that point to Ashley, but more to your point, do these not fall in line with that exact layman's definition because they are things that people predicted? Whether or not they happen or not doesn't matter. It's a prediction. Is that not a prophecy?
Yes,
is that not
we've already said that. Yes, those are the same thing. Yes, we've said that.
Okay.
That we understand those to be what they are.
So what are your questions, Ashley?
What?
What are your questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, moving on.
Child and being in the home.
There's a balance between, masculine energy and feminine energy.
Absolutely.
And I feel like there's both within everybody. And so there's a balance that with masculine energy in itself that I think a lot of people have trouble trying to like reconcile within themselves. Like, yes, being a man, you work hard, you take care of your people, but you got to be able to have that emotional side too, which is where the feminine energy comes in.
Y'all just like triggered something in my head when y'all was.
Hold on, what?
Like, yes, being a man, you work hard, you take care of your people, but you got to be able to have that emotional side too, which is where the feminine energy comes in.
I don't agree. I do not agree that feminine energy has anything inherent to do with emotions in a way that does not apply with men. How do y'all feel?
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Feminine energy, people who say that don't actually know what feminine energy is. I'll just say that.
I think it's just he gendered it too much, like with the typical gender roles with what he just said. Like, you know how they always say you're a guy, don't be so emotional. Well, they don't say that. Like, don't cry and shit. So you like compartmentalize your emotions and whatnot. While with girls, like they're considered more emotional. It seems like he kind of reiterated that.
I told for 89 says, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Men need to have both feminine and masculine energy in the modern day. Agreed. I feel like they always should have had it. I don't think anybody here disagrees with that. Just to catch you up, the point of discussion is that this guy says, you know, everybody needs to have both. Cool, fine, whatever. But he described the masculine energy as like doing your job, working hard, providing for your family, and then said you also need to be able to deal with your emotions, so to speak. And then that's where the feminine energy comes in. I don't agree with that conclusion. I feel like he is drawing a line in the sand that really doesn't need to be drawn by saying masculine energy means you work hard and feminine energy means you're emotional. I think that is a erroneous oversimplification of those two concepts.
Yeah, he doesn't actually know what he's talking about. He's just talking.
That's fantastic. Luna, I'm going to give you at least 30 seconds to think about this while I press play. Can you define feminine energy?
I can't actually hear your stream, so.
That's cool. Can you define feminine energy? And I'm going to press play. I'll be returning momentarily.
Y'all just like triggered something in my head when y'all was speaking about having both in the home. To me, I didn't really have it there.
A couple years ago, I ended up.
Oh my God! All right, we're in
an
an ad
have
break.
health
So,
insurance at the time.
Babe,
Now I
can you
have a plan that
describe
keeps
what is
me.
feminine energy to you? What does that mean to you?
To me, feminine energy is an energy of creation, collaboration, community, and there was one other thing I was going to say.
While you take your time.
Resting. That was the last thing I was going to say.
Resting. I'm gonna come back. I really want to. This is an interesting point from this chatter. I'd like to dissect this a little bit. Again, I'm gonna just call you 89. I'm not sure how to pronounce the first part of the name. They say, like, I teach my son masculine energy, but also teach him to be nice to his sisters. All right. I teach my son masculine energy, but also teach him to be nice to his sisters and mothers. Like, I have to show my daughters both masculine energy for discipline reasons, but also a softer side when playing with them. And I'll point something out to you. It's not like I disagree with that particular practice and concept, but from a rhetorical perspective, it is very interesting and very telling the way that we have kind of normalized certain ideas around masculinity and femininity. Because in the way that you explained it, I teach my son masculine energy, but I also teach him how to be nice to his sisters and mother. You didn't say I teach him masculine energy and feminine energy. You didn't describe both. You didn't explain both. You didn't define both. It was, I teach my son masculine energy, but I also teach him to be nice. That says something. The way you imply feminine energy says something about our perspective as a community on what masculine energy is, number one. And then number two, you kind of did the reverse when it came to the daughters. Teach my daughters masculine energy for discipline reasons. That's a loaded statement, not saying it's right or wrong. We would love to explore what you mean by that, but teach your daughters masculine energy for discipline reasons, but then also the softer side when playing with them. I'm not necessarily here to say that I don't think femininity is inherently soft in some way. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay. I'm fine agreeing with that, taking that stand particularly. But it is what I am pointing out, that it is interesting how describing one and not describing the other kind of describes both. You know what I'm saying? I teach my son masculine energy, but also teach him to be nice. I teach my daughters masculine energy for discipline, but also soft when playing with them. I'm just saying, I wonder, and I point that out not because you're right or wrong. I point that out because I wonder if you noticed the implications in the way that that's written. What were you going to say, Luna?
I also just didn't understand what one has to do with the other. I just don't understand that.
I think they're about
what does, like, it sounds like being nice is the antithesis to masculinity.
Yes. That is what I was, that was the point that I was making. It's like the implication is teach your son masculine energy, but then also teach them to be nice, as if being nice to his sister and mother is a stand-in for feminine energy, which that says something about how we view masculine energy.
Also, I would prefer if we use the term masculinity, because masculine energy and masculinity are not the same things to me.
I'd love for you to, you know what, I'm gonna press play. We'll get a little bit for this video, but think about the difference between masculinity and masculine energy, as well as the difference between femininity and feminine energy. Those are very difficult to say that quickly.
And it made me feel a way, but I think that I always wanted one. And so I wound up at a certain age going outside and trying to find what masculinity was outside. And so I went on the corner, and there were 20 of us on the corner, and none of us had dads. We were all messed up, and so we all taught each other the wrong way to love, to be loved. And then I think in society, there's way more people like that.
And a lot of kids who don't have fathers in the home, excuse me,
you're good, man.
look for that father in the world or in a different way.
Well,
you see what I say about the goddamn broke clock? Right, twice a day.
First, I think that attributing proper family values to a heterosexual couple with children is just not effective.
Completely agree. I'm sorry to cut this person off short. Yeah, I'm glad somebody said it, and it would be the non-binary person to say that. Yeah, I don't necessarily believe that in order to have a successful family unit, you need a straight man and a straight woman raising their kids. Absolutely. So many ways to do straight wrong. Holy fucking shit. In my own goddamn family? Anyway, I'm not even gonna unpack that right now. But there are so many right ways to be anything but straight, and thinking it boils down to, is there a man in the house? Is there a woman in the house? That type of thing, oversimplification. Moving on though.
I think that it's obviously a heteronormative take to be man and woman and then a child, and that's how you create a good family. And whether it's a single mother, single father, or a queer couple, I don't think that it's necessary to attribute men and women to certain roles in the household. I think that it's only due to nurture those gender norms that we follow.
Male and female matters. God gives you one of those ideas.
All right, here we go, y'all. We get into it now. God damn it, I wish you could hear this, Luna. Hopefully, actually, you can still hear it though.
Yeah, I can.
All right, so I'm just gonna, can you see, ooh, that's a long one. Can you see the captions, Luna? Because this guy right here, we finally get into some shit. Anyway, back to 89. My son is autistic and he has a hard time in controlling his anger. So I teach him to treat women nice, an example, his sisters and mothers. And with my daughters, I have them enrolled in Taekwondo to teach them discipline. And also, if they fight amongst each other, I have to be tough on them to cut it out. But also I teach them all life skills as well. Like today, me and my middle child, oldest daughter, made dinner together. I'll go ahead and just jump out there and say it before Luna come in here and say something outlandish. I think that's a perfectly fine way to raise your children. Honestly, I really do. I think, teaching your son to control his anger, number one, we don't do that enough. That's why we got so many fucking school shooters. I said it, goddammit. Yeah, that's a good thing, and I appreciate you for doing that. Also, teaching your daughters Taekwondo. I did Taekwondo for 3 years. It's fun stuff. That's really not the point, but good there. And then cooking with them, all of that's great. I am not here to change the way you raise your children. I want to be very upfront with that. What I say, what I'm about to say, and what I have said is about the way we talk about the way we raise our children. I ain't got no kids. What I mean by that is, right, it's there's this inherent assumption, right, that there are things that are masculine and there are things that are feminine, and never the two shall meet, right? And I think that that's a problem. I think it's good if there are things over here and things over there and everybody gets to do both of them, but putting them in the categories in the first place is the original mistake, is kind of my point. And that's inherent in the way that a lot of people describe them, in particular, daughters enrolled in Taekwondo to teach them discipline, right? It's kind of, there's this implication that to be disciplined is to be masculine and to be nice is to be feminine. And that's kind of the problem. That's kind of why we arrive at this particular point in the conversation. Because if we believe that to be masculine is to be disciplined and to be feminine is to be nice, well, that's kind of how things got gendered in the first place. That's how men ended up, hard, aggressive, and hard working, but emotionally unintelligent. And then women, I'm not here to tell you about women, is all I got to say to that. That's kind of the point that I'm making. But I generally speaking, genuinely, I don't have a problem with any other way that you've described raising your children. I think it's great, good for those kids. But there are ways that we describe those things that influence and color our behavior around those topics. Now, what were you going to say, Luna?
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off what you said in terms of putting things into categories. And this is a hill I'm willing to die on.
Oh dear.
Everybody sit back. Putting things into categories is what's ruined society. Because people are convinced they're one thing and one thing only. Mm-hmm. For example, men are convinced if they are not 100% masculine all the time, then they're less of a man, which is just simply not the case.
Correct.
I believe everybody should be at the very least 50-50 masculine, if not more heavily leaning on the feminine side, because femininity is what builds community and it's what keeps society together, to be completely honest. If we had more of it, then our world would be in better shape, in my opinion. But going back to the original point, categorizing things into masculine and feminine, and then trying to have somebody have just the right amount of femininity, but not too much, I think is just limiting to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. Because, daughters need to know how to be nice, people are not inherently born with all of these qualities, no matter their gender. So
interesting.
If I keep talking, I'm gonna go off on a tangent that has nothing to do with this. So
well, that scares me. Ashley, did you have anything like that?
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought I was on mute for a second. No, I agree with that. I think the whole categorization of everything has not helped much. It definitely, I think, hurt more than what it would have helped with.
Mm-hmm.
They
men are so worried about being masculine all the time that they don't think about how do I just be a decent human being,
89 responded by saying, I would say I'm 70-30 masculine. I find it hard to connect with my emotions, but I was brought up in a different age than from this generation, I believe. 2 questions. Number 1, were you born in 1989? You don't have to answer that. Number 2, what are your pronouns? You don't have to answer that either. I'm just wondering, because that'll tell me some things about some things, and I'll leave it at that as we move on. But thank you for your contributions.
Let me read this comment.
Go ahead, take your time.
Family, whether it's like a single mother, single father, or like a queer couple. Like I don't think that it's necessary to like attribute men and women to like certain roles in the household. I think that it's
not your fault
due
that
to
they
nurture.
brought you up like this, because what else were they gonna do? But
she can't hear. Yeah, Luna literally cannot hear if the video's playing. That's fine. Yes, born in 89 in my pronouns.
Heard this whole time.
I'll shut up now.
No, I knew she couldn't hear it. This is proof that she can't hear. She also probably couldn't hear me when I said I'm pressing play, but you know what? It's cool. We gonna move on.
Sure, those gender norms that we follow.
Male and female matters.
All right, here we go. I hope you can read the captions now. He starts off with male and female matters, and it's the guy in the big black cowboy hat. So everybody, buckle your damn seats up.
Only due to nurture, those gender norms that we follow.
Male and female matters. God gives you one of those identities, you take on that role. And now you're responsible for not or for fulfilling that role. There's a masculine crisis because men are not taking responsibilities for the God-given roles that they have in society. And so when you take away the need to say, God made you this or God made you this, now you don't have to take responsibility for not fulfilling what you were called to do.
When you do.
All right, so you didn't hear any of that, did you, Luna? Did you read any of the captions?
Sure didn't. I'm trying to cook dinner.
Lord have mercy. All right, I'll go play by play. I'll just read out what you said because you're going to have some shit to say about this. All right.
Fulfilling.
All right.
Family, whether it's like a single mother, single father.
I
like
apologize to everybody who can hear for it's going to sound real stupid.
Queer couple. Like, I don't think that it's necessary to like attribute men and women.
No, I'll be pausing. I have to pause just so I can catch up.
Okay, I'm reading it now.
Okay.
To like certain roles in the household, I think that it's only due to nurture those gender norms that we follow.
Male and female matters. God gives you one of those identities, you take on that role. And now you're responsible for not or for fulfilling that role. There's a masculine crisis because men are not taking responsibilities for the God-given roles that they have in society. And so when you take away the need to say, God made you this or God made you this, now you don't have to take responsibility for not fulfilling what you were called to do.
All right. Gonna pause there for comment, of course. 89 says, like, every day after school since I was 8, I was working 3 jobs. Me too, bro. They called me a Jamaican for that shit. When I went to go buy my car.
Damn, that's a shame.
Yeah, like, not something I brag about, you know, but yeah, I was working several jobs just out of high school when I was trying to buy my car, and the guy who sold me the car asked me if I was Jamaican because Jamaicans work a lot of jobs. You Jamaican? I don't know, bro. Hey, is this a stereotype that's for real? You tell me. I'm not Jamaican. Are you? Damn it. I don't know, bro. Whatever. Anyway, what do you have to say about that? Ashley, I'll start with Ashley since you were able to hear it.
Oh, I read the caption, but Ashley can go first.
You're Scottish? Bro, you're the third Scot in this chat. Turn up. Hey, let me.
Oh, shit. Where's Ollie?
Hey, Gigi's in the chat. We're big fans of the Scots. Do not ask us why. You'll find out eventually. Do not listen to her. Do not listen to her. The 2 other people in the. You know what? I'm not even gonna say nothing. Ashley, what's your opinion?
I don't know. All the Scottish people I know kind of.
Don't listen to her. She makes no sense. Ashley, please. Ashley, please share your opinion. What is your response to this man's tomfoolery?
I know exactly one Scottish person.
Well,
now I know 2, I guess.
So this is a very, very crazy statement, you know.
What he's saying or what you're about to say?
What I heard.
Oh, what he's saying.
What he said. I think that for him to believe so strongly that there's a masculine crisis because people are not like fulfilling certain roles, I'm like, things are different now. And I think, again, back to the patriarchy, a lot of his views are based on patriarchy. I feel like because there are families who have people who earn 2 income, or like a family that has people both working and there's 2 incomes, it like radically changed roles and how people should provide for the family and etc. I feel like he would have a meltdown if he found out that there are women out there being breadwinners, because apparently that's not fulfilling the right role for a man and a woman. But I digress.
I wonder if it would be. I know a lot of traditional conservative patriarchal men who are perfectly fine with women working jobs. What they're not fine with is women not having children, essentially. It's not about what women do, it's about what women don't do. And 89 says, roles in the house have changed big time. Take my house, for example. I cook the dinner and do the dishes, and my girlfriend does the laundry and puts it away, and we both take turns in walking the dog and carrying the kids for the night. Now, I'm about to sound like an asshole.
Love that.
All right.
Sounds like a functional family unit to me.
Yeah, that's cool. And I'm about to sound like an asshole because of what I'm about to say. And the 2 other people on this chat, probably they may not know what I'm about to say, but they've heard me say I'm about to sound like an asshole before. And it's always for this one particular thing. You say the roles have changed, and then you describe the current situation in your house, which again, no problem. Sounds cool. I hope it works for y'all. I hope you enjoy your life. But are you saying that what you do represents a change? you know? And I only say that. Again, I'm annoying as fuck. I'm sorry. I only say that because, like, if you're going to describe a change, you need to have a point A and a point B, and we only have the point A. Or perhaps we only have the point B. You're saying that things have changed, and then you describe the way they are now. Could you enlighten us on how that's a change from your perspective? And, like, in your experience, how is what you describe right now different? How does that represent a change? And then now I'll move over
I could tell
to
you what
Luna.
Men wasn't doing shit around the house. That's what it was.
She was there. Luna's 274 years old. Luna, anyway, what do you have to say about Cowboy Hat Man?
Just saying. Everybody knows I'm right.
All right, we're going to move on. Anyway, yes, as growing up, my dad would just go to work and come home, and my mom did everything while me and my girlfriend split it. Yeah, I can honestly say I have no memory of living in a household like that. I won't unpack that, but that's cool.
When you do that, you also take away other things that somebody else may do. If I have a woman or a partner that wants to take on certain roles and I say, hey, those are my roles that God gave me in society, now I'm suppressing that person. Like, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. You define who you are and how you behave under God. That's what God gave us, free will.
But also, like, I think
I'm going to be completely honest, and I'm going to just press play again. I did not expect this guy to have these opinions, and that's on me.
The religious beliefs should not be used to, like, dictate how other people identify or how people live their lives.
Humans need predictability, and when we put each other in these boxes, it gives us the opportunity to make decisions quickly. And I think that's what we're fighting is as a civilization at the moment, is the desire to put 7.5 billion people in specific boxes.
8 billion now.
So that we can have some sort of predictability or stability in our lives. I was an emotionally abusive young man in my 20s because I had an idea of what my wife should do. And it caused a lot of stress.
Why were you the way you were?
You know, I had a lot.
Why were you the way you were? Man, if I could ask that every single day. Anyway, let's hear his response.
A lot of anger. I had a lot of pent-up rage. I had
the only emotions men know.
You know, some combat stress that I had to deal with also that I wasn't dealing with.
Okay, he is also a veteran. I forgot about that. Yeah, hey, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm not going to change your opinion on the military. That's your own damn business. But if I can beg and plead with everybody out there, especially the women, just especially the women, right? Do not marry soldiers. Just don't do it.
Do not go into the military. Jesus Christ.
Don't. Hey,
I know it's hard out here, but goddamn.
I wish I could save the recruits from joining the military, but a lot of times it's too far gone. You got to catch them when they 15 years old, and I ain't speaking to those people right now. All of you consenting adults out there, do not fuck around with soldiers. I'm sorry. If you a soldier and this hurt you personally, damn. I'm sorry. Do not fuck with anybody who has seen combat.
I'm not sorry.
Okay, well, anyway. And then 89 says anger rage my tattoo.
Find help. Oh.
What are you saying, Ashley?
I was just saying. Just
if they
talk it
haven't
out,
seen
find
combat,
help.
Combat. What you said?
Me?
Yes.
Anger and rage is my go-to. Jesus Christ.
Oh. What was I saying? Oh, find help, talk it out, you know, find ways to handle those emotions. That's all I'm going to say for those in the military.
Good advice directed to the people in the military. Now to everybody else in the world.
The military is not good for character building.
Do not marry a soldier.
Everybody needs to talk it out, find help as needed, but...
Yes, and to the non-soldiers in chat, don't marry them. That's all I got to say. Moving on.
Because men don't show emotion.
There is a social construct that benefits men. And so the responsibility that I've learned as I've gotten older is learning how to not enforce my power, learning over women, over people.
You're saying that role gives men more privilege, like an advantage.
Best way to deal with those emotions is a punch bag, I have found out. Hey man, if the bag is all you punching, you know what? I'm not a clinical psychiatrist.
I mean, it's better than punching a person.
I am not a clinical psychiatrist. I will not say whether that's good or bad.
You gotta do.
I'm
That's all I gotta say.
not sharing that opinion. Hey, man, because sometimes you start with holes in the wall, then you end up with holes in folks' bodies. I'm not going to say shit about that. All I'm saying is, hey, bro, I can't say nothing. That's all I can say.
And privilege. I'm saying
They
that
need
it
to
is
get
more
their aggression out
self-sacrificing. I do
somehow.
not have free time. I do not have hobbies. I do not wake up during the day and
I
do
do
what I
not
want to
have
do
hobbies.
ever. I'm thinking about my wife, my kids,
You don't
my
have
business.
hobbies.
But that's your
All right, so yeah, this is a really good example of how the patriarchy doesn't work for men either. This man is explaining all the stuff that he does for his wife about his life of self-sacrifice as a man. He's talking about, I don't have hobbies, I don't have time, I wake up and I serve and some shit like that. Cool, whatever, okay,
You're
fine.
a victim.
Exactly. Fucking exactly. And old friend down here with the pearls on finna tell him about himself.
decision, and that's not like
How
a
much you wanna
mandatory
bet you
thing
didn't
of your
actually wanna tell me?
masculinity.
Well, if you
He
believe
just did it
that
because he
God is
thought that
true,
was what he was supposed to do.
Correct.
I don't.
and you believe that He is God, then you do have that responsibility.
What privilege are you referring to? Like, what privileges do men have?
We've constructed.
What privileges do men have? Nope, we're not stopping for comment. I just want to draw Luna's attention that somebody asked that. I just want.
I want to put
Wait
out
a minute,
there.
somebody asked.
Oh, here we
in the
go.
video?
Here we go.
Bro, are you serious right now? Just being able to walk in a city unbothered, that's a privilege.
Bro, you can go for a
I
walk
knew it.
at 3 a.m. and be fine. Well,
I
maybe
knew
not,
it.
because you know what? Men
People
are
do
scared of
crazy.
men.
I knew it.
Yeah, people do be crazy. You could get shot like anytime, anywhere. But will you be attacked by are you under the threat and fear of potential rape or being sex trafficked? I don't know. I think that's a bigger concern for women than men, and I would like to be free of that.
I would also like to be free.
Yeah, pausing was a mistake for my mental health, but for content, anyway. Yeah, just want to draw y'all attention to that. Interesting comment from 89, though. We'll tell a story. One time, me and my girlfriend got into an argument, and she punched me, and I do not hit women, so I punched the cooker. I only hit a woman once, and that was my sister, but I had to stop her from seeing something. I don't actually want to know. I have a lot of questions. I don't want a single answer. And that is all I'm going to say. I am pressing play. I am pressing play. Pausing was a mistake, and I will never make that mistake again.
This entire society to benefit us.
Break it down, like what privileges exactly?
Like we talk about the wage gap, or if you look at Roe versus Wade, men controlling women's bodies.
Even if there might be those privileges, there's also more men who...
I told y'all Christian was a piece of shit. I told y'all. Broken clock twice a day. I tried to tell you. Baby, you know Christian Walker. Herschel, almost our senator's son.
The gay one?
Yes, gay, biracial, conservative, piece of shit. Yeah, we're talking about...
Hate his daddy? Yeah.
Yeah, I hate his daddy. Again, broken clock, right? Anyway, we're talking about, just to catch you up real quick, I'm going to press play. I promise I'm not going to pause too much. I press play. They're talking about privileges that men have. Guy and one guy sitting next to Christian is like, be specific. What privileges do men have? Guy responds way down at the end of the line. He's like, Roe versus Wade, men controlling women's bodies, the wage gap, so on and so forth. And then Christian comes in and it's like, yeah, maybe some privileges. I haven't finished his comment. I just wanted you to know that he's about to say it in case you want to read the captions along.
Wait,
press
that's
play.
Christian Walker?
That is literally Christian Walker. Yes, ma'am.
I did not realize he was in it. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that was my reaction exactly.
Yeah. That man, his father was almost my senator. We would have lost democracy. Anyway, moving on.
who commit suicide, more men incarcerated.
I think when you talk about like incarceration rates and things like that, like things that men are a victim of, I think that it's important to like recognize, like, I don't think that men are oppressed solely on the grounds that they're men. I think that men like experience oppression based on like the intersections of their identities, which is, you know, why we see like different like lower class jobs being worked by men, or like higher suicide rates, or like incarceration rates going up, because like men, like black men, brown men, indigenous men, queer men, trans men, etc. Those people like face oppression, they experience oppression, but it's not solely due to their identity as a man.
But I think
Christian's point to argue against the idea of male privilege is that men are incarcerated more and men commit suicide more. Wonderful response from the person in the back with the pearls. Important to note also, just wanted to add into that, the things that men get out of the patriarchy are also some of the things they have to put in. What I mean by that is the patriarchy will benefit you in a lot of material ways. It will also destroy you. It will entrap you. Just like the man in the hat was saying, I don't have time for anything. I don't have hobbies. I don't do this. I don't do that. I just got to be a man and work hard all a single time. Yeah, that's why men kill themselves. Because of what the guy behind you in the hat was explaining to himself. He subscribed to the patriarchy for its benefits, right? And now it's eating away at him. Men kill themselves and men commit crimes. Men commit crimes, a lot of times violent crimes, right? Because we don't raise men to be people of peace. Yes, emotional intelligence and so on and so forth. And men kill themselves for largely the same reason. Number one, we don't teach them how to handle their emotions. Number one, psychologically, we don't teach them anything about mental health, or emotional health. But then at the same time, a lot of times they kill themselves because they get trapped in the patriarchy. Just like women do, except their status in the patriarchy may be higher than what women's are, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's always more comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like if you wake up and think the only thing you can do in life is to work and slave away for the family that for some reason you chose to have and give your life to, and you end up killing yourself. I mean, the patriarchy is the answer to both of them. I don't understand how they don't see that. Anyway, me and my ex was getting down to business, if you know what I mean, and she tried to come into my room in the attic, so I threw a bag down the ladder to stop her from coming up. It's not punching her. You know what? You said hit. I'm not.
I knew it was sexual.
No comment.
I knew it was sexual.
I am pressing play. I am pressing play. We're moving on.
Sex is probably a very interesting place to think about this because it's changing field as far as like what people expect of each other.
Finally clipped her
date
nails.
in New York City a lot, and dating wise, there's a lot that's like asked of a man. Like first dates are like
he's talking about New York, but everything he's about to say, you can apply it to Atlanta.
Nightmares.
I got a question on that, yeah.
Dude, it's like I'm like, what do you want? They got like a checkbox like, are you gonna pick me up? Are you gonna walk on the outside of the sidewalk? Are you gonna open the door? Are you gonna pull out the seat? Are you gonna pay for the meal? Are you gonna be interesting during the dinner? Are you gonna be funny during the dinner? And then when you walk home, are you gonna drop me off? Are you gonna watch me walk inside? And then
I'm gonna be honest with you. Again, very open about where we're from down in Georgia. I'm not hearing anything that sounds like it's a lot, but we'll just let me hear the rest of the list.
After, and it's like trying to defuse a bomb. Like if you think
that's because
you
like, hospitality. That's what it is.
He hasn't met somebody he actually liked, first of all, or clicked with, because if you're funny, interesting, whatever, that should come if you click with the person, first of all. Second of all of this other stuff, I'm like, I don't know, that it angers me because I'm just like, I feel like there are certain things that guys maybe should do, but like it depends on context though, because I think the whole thing, all of his complaints are things that I think guys will do if they like the person. I just personally think that he has not liked that much any of the girls that he's been on dates with, and then he gets upset because like all of these girls have all these expectations, but I'm like, well, it's on the premise that you actually like them or interested in them. It's kind of like a test run of how you would act in a relationship, maybe. But I don't think he's understanding that. Or have the, I almost said maturity, but yeah. Or the maturity to like really know what women are looking for.
I arrive at the same conclusion, but I took a different road to get there.
Oh, wow.
I agree that these are things that someone will do on a date with someone that they like. Didn't even cross my mind, though, because, in my opinion, he isn't listing anything that you shouldn't be doing automatically. You know what I'm saying? Like waiting for your date to get inside the house before you leave.
He's from New York.
Exactly.
He's from New York. They don't got that Southern hospitality up there. So
I knew you were gonna say that. I absolutely knew you were gonna say that. It is definitely a cultural thing.
It's not ingrained.
Nothing is ingrained, in my opinion. From my perspective, in this conversation, nothing is ingrained. Everything is taught. Everything is learned behavior. Everything is nurture, right? But at the same time,
what I mean by ingrained is, I mean you were taught this stuff from a young age. That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's we're saying the same thing. in that like none of this is natural. It's not like because you have a penis, these are things you're going to know to do. You're going to know to text a woman to make sure she gets inside. But what I am saying is that this is cultural, and I have been taught this to a degree to where like none of this sounds like he ain't list nothing that's extra. Like he's like, you got to be funny during the date. Yes. You got to wait until she gets inside before you leave. Yes. You gotta like hold on. You gotta walk on the outside sidewalk. Let's go down the list, right? We're gonna list them off, right? Let's go down the list. He ain't saying nothing.
It's like,
He's
I'm
like,
like, what do you want? They got like a checkbox. Like, are you
Got a
gonna pick me
checkbox?
up?
Okay.
Are you gonna
pick me
Are
up?
you gonna walk on the outside of
Gonna
the
walk on the
sidewalk?
outside of the
Are you gonna
sidewalk.
open the door? Are you gonna pull out the seat?
Open the door.
Pay for the meal?
Pull
Are you
out
gonna
the
be
seat.
interesting during the day?
Pay for the meal, I would argue, is the most controversial. It's not very controversial to me, but it deserves its own conversation. But I'm gonna keep going.
Are you gonna
Are
be
you
funny
gonna
during
be
the
funny
dinner?
during the
And then
dinner?
when you walk home, are you gonna drop me off?
Are you gonna
gonna
drop
watch
me
me
off?
walk inside?
Watch
and
me
then
walk
are you
inside?
gonna text me after? And it's like
he is listing a list of things that you should be doing for every person that you go out with. I'm not even
50-50.
talking.
Oh no.
I'm not even talking about like a romantic date with someone of the gender that you prefer. No, fuck that. Like if I'm hanging out with my friends, my male friends, I'm not pulling off until I know that they're inside. Bro, motherfuckers is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just weird to me that he's listing a list of things that are like, man, women want so much, but that's like common decency from one human being to another. And I get what Ashley said.
Yes.
She's like, you do this if you like this person. I agree with that. But like, you do this if you're a human being too. But again, I'm not from New York, so I don't fucking know.
I will say personally, I would not want a man to pick me up on a first date. I don't want him to know where I live.
Okay, yeah, but that's a security issue, right? That's not like whether or not like, even if you don't want him to pick you up on the first date because you don't want him to know where you live, makes perfect sense. I completely agree with that, right? Even if that's the case, that doesn't even make its inclusion on his list less absurd. Like whether she wants you to pick you up. Go ahead.
I was just saying the first one picking up, I could excuse that one. But the rest of them, I'm like, God, get it together.
Excuse as in like, you think his complaint by virtue of including it on the list is valid?
It's valid. It's more like, how do I explain how I process this in my head? I don't think I can explain it. Basically, for me in my head, when I first heard that, I was like, whatever. The rest of the stuff I heard, I'm like, oh, I think you should do that if you like the person.
Mm-hmm.
That should also come naturally if you like the person,
Mm-hmm.
but whatever. But I hope that clears it up for you. It makes sense.
It almost does. We're gonna keep going. 50-50 on the bill on the first one. Hey man, I'm not into the paycheck politics, if I'm being completely honest. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I'll pay for every single date if you want me to. I'll never pay again if you offer it. Fuck it. Whatever works, bro. Whoever got the money got the bill. You know what I'm saying? Yes, but that may be a Scottish thing, as women here don't feel comfortable if a man pays for the bill, as they subconscious think he will be expecting something from them. Yeah, 100%. That's not even just a Scottish thing. I can guarantee you. A lot of women in the United States feel that way. They don't want a man to provide for them financially before they're like their partner, because that will give men the expectation that he will get something sexual out of this interaction. Right? Because men are very misogynists, are mask off, right? They do not hide their misogyny well. They will get on Twitter and complain, being like, bitch this, hold that. I went out with this girl. I spent $14 on a hot dog and she didn't even give me no head at the end. Like, they're fucking crazy, right? It's probably, I believe it's true in Scotland. It is absolutely true over here in the States as well. Men are dogs. That's all I got to say.
It's like trying to diffuse a.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but if you make me pay on the first date, then I'm not going on a second one.
Wonderful.
Or we're just friends at that point. Like,
I believe Ashley was saying something.
That too. But like, I've actually, when a date has not been going very well, and I'm like, I feel kind of bad because this is not working out well, and I don't want to see you again. I try to pay, but then they won't let me, and then we never talk again. So I'm just like, what kind of play was this? Because you just lost money on your end. Like, that sucks, but okay.
I mean, they probably just sucked it up and charged it to the game, you know? Like, as a man, you gotta just suck it up. Like, if the date don't go right, you're still expected to pay because patriarchy. So, it's an unfortunate reality they live in.
Yeah, I was also like, I can pay, don't worry about it, let me pay this other thing. And they're like, nah, I'm a man. And I was like, okay, be a man.
Fuck it. They're scared.
Well, that's right.
No, they're scared because they don't want to be the guy talked about in the group chat or in the tweet, where it's like, this guy took me out and didn't even pay. It doesn't matter if he offered. If he didn't pay, he's afraid he's going to be made fun of. And I don't know if that's a valid fear or not, but I know a lot of men who think that, and other men taught them to feel that way.
I will say there's worse things to be made fun of on Twitter from a bad date than not paying at this point. But
I mean,
that's probably my opinion.
That's true. But I mean, it could always get worse. That doesn't mean you want it to happen, though.
Yeah, fair.
Last thing I want is to find somebody I'm attracted to, take them out for a nice time in an attempt to court them, only to find out that I'm being subtweeted about, 48 hours later. Now the shit going viral. Now there's this whole conversation in Atlanta about how much a man can pay, and she offered to pay for herself, but now I'm like the subject of this conversation or whatever, what have you, or the group chat. Maybe I'll see it, maybe I don't. It doesn't really make a difference. If I really like this person to the point where I invited them out on a date to entertain them, and that mistake, that error in judgment is now turned into the narrative of how the date went, that would hurt every single time.
Yeah. I'm not a subtweeter, so that's why I was like, I can't relate, but I see it.
Yeah, but you do tell one person in this conversation how every single date goes.
Do you want an update on my life or no? Like, hello?
I told y'all she was going to respond like that.
No, you did not.
One thing you got to learn here, 89, is that there are certain members of this conversation who will always interpret every observation as an insult. But back to you, Mike. What do you mean? Y'all would never pay for a first date? I would pay for a first date. I'll offer to pay for every date. But if I'm trying to take somebody out and they're like, no, I got it. Cool. You ain't got to convince me you going to pay for yourself. The fuck? Hell no. You can pay the time you want.
I will say, I felt like at one point I almost had to try to convince to pay because I was like, I feel bad. This ain't going right. But like, are you sure? And they're like, nah. And I was like, okay, all right. I feel like most people would be like, no, go ahead, pay. But
yes,
I would. Shit.
I think unless it's that one time where Mike was trying to blow a quarter stack on us trying to get into a goddamn strip club, let people do what they want to do. If somebody's like, hey man, I will offer to pay for you, then yeah, let them do it. Unless it makes you uncomfortable.
A strip club?
Mike tried to get all of us into it. I don't got time to unpack this story. The fact of the matter is, unless it makes you uncomfortable,
The strip club cover was like
$50 a person.
There was like what, 4 of us, right?
5 of us.
It was like $150. He was like, and Mike was like, I'll go to ATM right now and get $150 so we can get in.
No, Mike, you
and we were like, Mike, no.
Mike a goofy bastard, bro.
Bro.
Mike literally pulled out that bit. He was like, look, man, take me across the street. We get in this bitch one way or another. Mike, by the time we get in there, we ain't gonna have no cash to throw. Anyway, the fact of the matter is,
man, my money from throwing all them bags, I got it all saved up.
It's only $5 here for a strip club. Hey, thank God you don't live in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Good for you. Shit. Fuck. Bro, when it was after a Hawks game too, I ain't even getting into that. The fact of the matter is, Mike, let people do what they want to do. If somebody wants to pay for you and it doesn't put you in an uncomfortable position, let them do it. Don't try to convince them. Don't try to change their mind about that shit. Get you a free meal, whatever. But if you feel like it puts you in a position to where you're less safe, less comfortable, less secure, then do whatever's best for you. But if I'm taking out Luna and she like, I got it, why would I ever say anything against that? If she asked me to cover it, why would I say anything against that? If I ain't got it, I ain't got it. But like, I don't understand. It's just weird to me that it's controversial. You know what I'm saying? It's weird to me that we all have to agree on this. It's like, if you want to pay, pay. If you don't want to pay, then don't want to. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
It goes back to the whole masculine thing. You know? It's like, do you feel less masculine if Luna's like, I got it? But I feel like I see how I would imagine that scenario, and this is dramatized, right? I would feel like if Luna said she got it, you'd be feeling like a pretty baby. But that's just me.
Absolutely not. Holy shit. I don't know. I don't understand how she sees the world. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, yes, it does mess with my masculinity if there are witnesses. I don't make any attempts to appear more masculine to Luna because I know her and she knows me, right? But there was a time earlier in our relationship where if we were eating in public, right, like with her friends or my family, I would want us to at the very least appear to be paying on one card just because I didn't want to be involved in the conversation. I did it for peace of mind. For example, if we went out to the seafood restaurant with my grandma and like have, all my cousins and everything, right? I don't want us to each put our card on the thing because my stupid ass family will always have a comment about every goddamn thing, especially shit that ain't got nothing to do with them, especially stuff that's not their business. So there have been plenty of times where I've asked Luna, can we pay on my card and you just give me the cash back? Sometimes she's like, sure, that's no problem. Other times she's like, I don't want to. It's inconvenient for me. It's more convenient for me to pay for myself, so on and so forth. And whatever's more convenient we'll do, but I will absolutely ask her that, not because I'll feel like less of a man, but because I don't want to swing on my grandma.
Peace of mind, because, well, I was going to say this. It's more peace of mind for you because your masculinity is technically being tested by others. It's not about how you feel. It's about, you're saying for you, it's more others' reactions about your masculinity. Right? Did I get that right?
You got it as close as you will get it. Absolutely. Yes,
What
it
the
is.
fuck? Why can't you just give me a straight yes?
Because I say this at least once a week. A no would be a lie and a yes would be misleading. Not everything is a yes or no question. And this unfortunately is, but it cannot be answered satisfactorily with simply a yes or no. I do not have my masculinity.
The answer is because he's mean, Ashley. That's why.
Do not listen to her.
No.
Anyway, my masculinity.
$8, man. I should keep track.
My masculinity is not threatened by Luna paying for herself, nor is it threatened by people questioning my masculinity. I don't have strong feelings about it which way or the other. What I don't want is having to explain myself to people, right? You all know me. I love being the center of attention. I have a terrible main character complex, right? But even there are times, anyway, but there are times, there are moments in my life where even I don't want to be in the spotlight. And when I'm around my family, my cousins, my uncles, and all those other people, the people that I am constantly compared to by the women in my family, right? I don't want that to be a part of the conversation. I don't want that conversation to happen. That's not how I want to spend my evening. It's not like it bothers me. It's not like it makes me feel less of a man. It's inconvenient for me to talk to them about it because they're not good listeners. And so I just avoid it.
So it's more just like you are doing all like certain circumstances, you do what you need to do for your peace of mind rather than anything related to your masculinity.
Correct. It is not to feel like more of a man. It is to be a more comfortable person.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
Bomb. Like if you think you're like red wire, blue wire, and you're like one little thing and you're just done.
In a second.
And it's like I'm to the point where I'm like I'm so tired of like paying $150 for a first date, and then you just go.
Luna, quick question: yes or no? Is $150 enough for a first date?
$150 for both people?
I'm gonna say both, and then I'm gonna say for one person. But let's start with both.
For both people, yes, that's enough.
All right, then I have the answer to the second.
So by default, it's enough for one person.
Correct. Yes.
Ghost me. And the next week I'm like hurting for cash. I'm like,
damn.
I could have really used that $150. Like, why did I have to?
See, I'm sorry. We'll move through this. We may pick this up again because I just realized what time it was. But I did say a long stream. Anyway, I just gotta roast this motherfucker right quick in the goddamn what color? This corduroy jacket? What you call this? Not tan. It's kind of woody, kind of Elvis.
Brown. Corduroy.
Brown's a good word.
Is that a quarter zip?
Couldn't tell you.
Can't tell.
Could not tell you. But what I can tell you, he's a bozo. All right. I'm sorry. I don't know this man. He's probably a decent person. I'm sorry. But I got to break down what he said because it's fucking annoying me. Also, 89, I saw that about the strip club. That's hilarious. But let me break down this motherfucker, what he's saying, right? He's like, I'm tired of paying $150 for a first date, and then the next week I'm hurting for cash. And he's like, man, I really could have used the $150. Stop going on dates then. You can't afford it. I'm sorry. That sounds classist. Yeah. I know it does. Stop dating people that make you pay $150 if you can't afford to pay $150. You dating the wrong motherfuckers. Like, I don't understand why men do this. They always want to blame women broadly by saying that, like, a woman is making me do this and a woman's making me do that. She ain't making you do shit. You're agreeing to it. You may not like that you're agreeing to it. You may even feel coerced, but you're still agreeing to it. Are you not consenting to this date? That's crazy.
Also, if she has a problem with paying her own way and you're looking for a woman who likes to pay her own way, then y'all are not compatible.
Also, if he's, let's say he's the one who like suggested that specific place where he had to pay that much money, that's on you, man. Like, sure. That's on you. Don't be upset for something that you set up yourself.
Assuming that he set it up.
Most of the time the guy picks the restaurant. Unless the girl is like, I really want to go to this restaurant. He could be like, let's go here instead. And if she's like, no, I really want to go here, then you're like, well, I guess we're at an impasse then because I ain't going there. Yeah.
I think everything y'all are saying is true. But I want to reiterate that what I'm saying is true regardless of who chose the restaurant. Because at the end of the day, whether she chose or he chose or whatnot, it's not like you find out 5 hours into the date at the very end that you about to pay $150. That's something you should know ahead of time. I don't know how you don't know that ahead of time.
Exactly. Like, look at the menu.
Exactly. Yeah. Like,
man doesn't know how to budget.
If you can't afford it, then be like that. If she accepts you, cool. If she block you, also cool. Like, there's no way to lose here. The only way to lose is to spend money on a date you can't afford, which you chose to do. Like, stop. I'm sorry, bro. I gotta pause right there. I'm really tired of motherfuckers getting on the internet and blaming women for the decision that men make. You decided to pay that money. If you can't afford it, go somewhere else or date someone else. This is a first date. You don't owe them shit. You don't know them. That's a stranger. Bro, you live in New York, bro. 8 million people in that motherfucker, and you telling me you can't find one other person? I'm tired of the excuses. I'm tired.
It's probably a you problem. It's a you problem versus women problem.
I'm stressed. Nothing makes sense. These people are strange and awful or whatever. You don't know how lucky you are. Yeah, man. Yeah, when I get to the strip club, I got to pay for my damn self. Ain't nobody throwing me no money. Anyway, it is 7:41 and I think
better get up on that pole.
What the fuck? All right. Don't listen to her. She says things that don't make any sense. I'll tell you right now, 8 and 9, I really appreciate you coming through. I don't know how where'd you find us, by the way? Like, what was that about? Who are you? Who am I? Who are you? Anyway, that's crazy though. But with that said, I think
probably drank way too much Jack Daniels.
You did what?
Tuesday night.
I probably drank way too much Jack Daniels.
Oh, with the eggnog?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that shit be scrumptious, boy. Goddamn. The thing about alcohol, for y'all young people out there who are legally allowed to drink wherever you are, shit take about 30 minutes to hit. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you'll take that shot and you won't feel it right away. You'll feel it right away, but you won't feel it right away. You know what I'm saying? Take your time. Take your time. You have nothing to lose by drinking just a little bit slower. That's all I got to say.
I'm gonna sleep real good though.
I tell you what, well, I feel it. I ain't even gonna go there. Anyway, y'all been delicious. I thank y'all so much for coming through. This will be the only stream that I have this week.
Did you even finish the video?
Hell no. We coming back to it. We're about a third of the way through because of course we are. I warned y'all. I warned Kovu at the top of the hour. I was like, look, my boy, we got a 40-minute video to get through. We ain't gonna do it, but we will come back to it. I actually recommended this and we gonna stick to it, goddammit. But I won't be this week. I gotta go film a house setup tomorrow. It's been,
bro,
it's such a busy week right now.
I'm about to say now.
Oh hell fucking no. But yeah, so like it's really busy at work because it's the holidays, but it's not yet the holidays, if you get what I'm saying. Like everybody's rushing to do shit before that dead period. pretty much all of December, and so a whole bunch of shit happening. Whatever. We'll get into it.
I wish all of December was a dead period for me. Ugh.
Bro, Mike, you remember when I beat you at Smash?
All right, sounds like that. Now it's turning into hate speech. Y'all have been delicious. Somewhat nutritious, I guess. Does anybody know our saying? Mike, you want to do the honors?
I'm nutritious.
Love, peace.
You're almost there. Love, peace, and
grease.
cheese.
Bacon grease.
Chicken grease.
Thank you, chicken grease. Love, peace, and chicken grease. But if you're vegan,
Not bacon?
no, baby. Love, peace, and chicken grease. But if you're vegan,
That's something weird.
love, peace,
Yeast?
and chicken grease. But if you're vegan, love, peace, and active yeast.
Oh shit.
My cat's biting my toe.
They don't know shit, man. You know what? I'm sick of y'all.
Wait,
Hello,
no.
why are you biting me?
I'm close.
It's been
I
delicious,
tried.
y'all. I'm nutritious, a little bit suspicious, but we'll see y'all next time. We out of here.
Bye.
Mike. Down.